We don't know. Anything could happen.
So I'm gonna see if it just so basically with YouTube you have to change the stream key like every stream if you want to stream to like a pre-scheduled stream. Otherwise it just creates a new one. And so I'm trying that out right now. Okay. Oh, cool. The feed went into the right spot, but I think it just went live. Yeah, it just went. It just goes live.
Look at that. Something happened.
We are live.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So here's what sucks about this is so OBS Studio.
Aux wasn't here to see you not screw up.
I know, right? It's weird. Like when he's gone, everything goes smoothly. I'm starting to think that he's like an EMP.
Oh no!
I think Aux is his beard is building up static, and it just takes out electronics. Just,
it is. It's all that static and all that family love. That's the problem. That's it. Luckily, we got nothing.
Yeah, it is. It did go oddly smoothly. So that. Oh,
wait a second. Now wait, we can still kill it though. We still got time. We still got time to do
I know. No. This is oddly weird though that it's going this smoothly. Like even though we're a little bit late, it's like, wow, we pushed send and then now spend a half an hour trying to triage this.
It concerns me.
I'm gonna check chat though because I'll be willing to bet like everybody will be like, oh my god, the audio's not working. Oh shit, it's broken. Oh dang. Oh darn. There we go. That's good.
I think I just subscribed. Good.
Oh good.
Well, I thought I had already.
Hey, you got to subscribe, man. You subscribe, hit like, and follow.
Oh, it wants my freaking it wants my digital security numbers. I don't freaking know what that is.
Send me your DNA samples and your social security
number. I know what that
number.
is. Oh, I know. I'll do this. I'll do PayPal. I much prefer that.
Oh no, don't become like a channel member. Like just subscribe. That's free.
Oh, I am subscribed. No, but I want to be a member?
David, I mean, I didn't want to have to say this in front of the whole internet, but David, we know you're poor. We know that you're a washed up actor that lives in your mom's basement.
Long time. Yeah, living in this isn't even my house. I'm pretending it's my house. It's actually my mom's
It totally
basement.
is. Like you wandered into your neighbor's house and they just didn't have the heart to call the cops. They were just like, he rarely comes upstairs, and he somehow survives on his own eating the rats, so it's fine.
Yeah. He doesn't eat. He's fine. Let him stay in the basement. It's like a novelty act,
right? Yeah. Get a little circus going on down there with some Cheerios and some mousetraps. So, guys, welcome to the Tech Talk. We have David Hewlett joining us today. Honestly, you've joined us like every single stream for like the last 3 months. So we're just going to go ahead and say, fuck it. You're just a co-host. You're just a co-host now. So like, here's David Hewlett. AuxxZillary, unfortunately, is gone today because he has to go suck up to his mother-in-law because, recently he proposed to his beautiful woman, and now he has to, establish himself as a member of the new matriarchy.
The young, upstanding member of society.
Exactly. So, he's off sucking up.
Good luck with that, Baz. Baz. Good luck with that, Aux. My son's name. I get everyone confused.
Oh, my God. Oh, shit, Chase Butler. See, this is another thing that happens every time Aux is gone.
What?
Chase Butler just dropped $50. Said, Jerry is so hot.
My God. It's that haircut. That's what it is.
So, Chase is a friend of mine. He's actually, I know him in real life. And he made a bunch of money off cryptocurrency. And I'd be willing to bet that he probably just made a bunch more money off cryptocurrency with all this DOGEcoin shit going on. And because he's a pretty entrepreneurial spirit. I have a feeling that he's one of those guys that just jumps on like every little opportunity and somehow comes out on top 99% of the time.
But is he investing it or is he actually like mining it and stuff?
I don't know. He'll have to tell us over in chat there, Chase. What are you up to, man? What did you get off this little Okay, so do you know anything about the DOGEcoin thing that's going on right now, David?
It's stupid, isn't it? Isn't it just like a silly coin that doesn't really do anything?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is all cryptocurrency falls under that category.
Well, why is this any different, really?
So DOGEcoin was created by two guys as a joke, right? It was a meme of the dog, right? The Doge.
Right.
So they created this DOGEcoin. It wasn't supposed to go anywhere. It ended up gaining quite a bit of traction and popularity just from its meme when it started and gained some value. But then after a while, the novelty wore off. It shot down to basically zero, and it was worthless. So there's people like sitting on hundreds of thousands of DOGEcoins that weren't worth $10. And so now what happened was this Wall Street Bets Reddit group that's been, pumping up the GameStop.
Terrorizing Wall Street right now.
My God. I'm loving every minute of it, dude. At first I was like a little worried, but
I brought it up with my kids. I brought it up with my Tech Bandit kids. Because I just thought they'd find it interesting. They loved it. They didn't love it that much. I loved it.
Well, it's cool because it's like it's a real Robin Hood tale. It's like everybody band together and just stormed the castle, and it worked.
Yeah.
And it's that mantra of if you have 1 million people, it doesn't matter if 1 million versus 100. It doesn't matter what technology they have. Doesn't matter what weapons they have. You will literally just suffocate them with corpses. It's like it's just
you got to be smart on picking the stock though, and they were smart with picking GameStop, but they were picking stocks that had a limited number of stocks so that 2 million could actually have an impact. Like if they tried it with like Google or Microsoft or something, I don't think it would have had the same effect, right?
No, not even. It probably would have been just a blip, like at most. But because they chose, they poised themselves. They took their time. They built this group. I mean, it was literally building up to this.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So it was highly successful, and the cool thing is it's like repeatable too. It's like there's no real way for Wall Street to defend against this very well, because if they short a stock, which they're going to do based on information, by the time somebody comes in and they just start sniping it and running it through the roof, I mean, they've already lost a ton of money. That's just unfortunately the way it is for them. But it's a cool strategy. Well, what happened was a lot of the traders were cutting off GameStop, like Robinhood.
I know,
Fidelity.
that pissed me off.
Oh yeah, and totally, like, it should be illegal. Like, I hope everybody sues the ever living shit out of them. And so
they will. I'm sure they will.
I think there's already a class action lawsuit. I think there is. Here, let me get David back
heard something about
again. But yeah, so the cryptocurrency thing, the DOGEcoin, was basically like Wall Street Bets was kind of cut off from this GameStop stock because of what these companies all banded together and did. So they were like, they just started making like weird like tweets, like, "Oh, has DOGEcoin ever gone up to $1?" Like, just like seemingly random. But it's a worthless cryptocurrency, so if they can get a bunch of people to band together and start buying it again, that's going to pump the price of it up. And sure enough, it did. It like went from like 0.0000008 cents or something up to like 50, like what was it, like 8 cents a share? I mean, it literally went up by like a factor of like over 1,000.
My thing with that is I'm too ADHD. Like the day that I go, oh wow, what's that over there? I'll have missed everything and then lost all the money. That's like
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I'm just exactly the same way, dude.
It's just gambling to me. Like I.
Well, I mean, it is, right? I mean, I believe that the stock market is, for all intents and purposes, gambling, but it's not slot machines so much as it's like poker. It's like you can go in, and if you have a lot of information and you can bluff other people and you can see, where things are coming, you have a higher chance of winning, right? I mean, you can actually make some money doing it. However, no matter what, you still could just get dealt shitty cards you can't get anybody to bluff. You're screwed. You lose your money, right? You're going to lose some hands.
Or like a COVID happens and changes everything all of a sudden.
Exactly. I mean? Like there's variables you don't control, but you can move it in your favor, right? So whereas cryptocurrency is kind of like that, but cryptocurrency also has a lot more of a slot machine mechanic to it. Because cryptocurrency is one of those things where it's like the value that you put on it isn't really based on its utility. It's based on people's perception of its value. So it's like if everybody decides together that it's worth $5, it's just worth $5. Whereas in the stock market, it's like, why is it worth this amount of money? Even though it's still an arbitrary number, it's based on like, what did the company do? What was its earnings? Is it doing better? Is it doing worse than last year? Did they grow? Did they buy other companies? There's all this information that goes into it that all the investors are like, okay, do we think this is a good bet or a bad bet? And then that moves it up or moves it down. But Wall Street Bets now basically turned stock trading into cryptocurrency, because now they're just like, target that stock, fire, and everybody jumps on it. And it's so many investors that don't understand like how the stock market even works and don't really care. They're just installing the Robinhood app and saying, oh, I want to try my $1. It's like lottery, right? And so they're all like dogpiling on these stocks when there's no reason to do it. It'd be like the equivalent of if Wall Street just like threw all their money into Enron right as it was dying. Like, oh, Enron, everybody go buy Enron, it'll be funny. Yeah, and everybody doesn't care if they lose their money because they're only in it like $1 or $2, right? It's like you're going for volume. You're not trying to get a couple of hedge funds to put in like $1 billion. You're trying to get 1 billion people to put in $1. And so everybody's like throwing in their money, and it's like, it has this really crazy effect because an investor is going to be like, I don't want to lose my $1 billion, so I'm going to skip on this one. Whereas the guy that they don't care if they lose their dollar, everybody's jumping on that shit just for like the meme of it. Like even if they lose their dollar, it's hilarious. But if you can
they called them meme stocks. I thought it was an article that I linked to for Tech Bandits was about them being called meme stocks. There's like a Medium article about it, and the guy just had a really kind of fun attitude towards it, because I feel like I think I said this the other day, but I feel like I stand between both worlds, right? Like I'm an old guy who has to have a certain amount of like RRSP, retirement stuff and stocks and all that crap in the hopes of like not being a complete burden on society when I lose it. So I've got the investment side. I understand that. And then, but I've still got that, like, let's burn it all to the ground, anarchist kind of approach to this stuff where I like, screw the man. Like the Jane's like, you say screw the man, but you're the man. I'm like, well, I'm the man and the guy who screws the man.
Screw me. It's
exactly.
Self-deprecating.
But again, my investment has always been in things. The only thing I invest in now are things that I know, understand, and like. So I just don't. I mean, I remember I was in a limo driving back from like one of these convention things where they always buy these crazy, they'd always rent these ostentatious like cars for these trips.
Yeah.
And because I guess they assume that that's how we drive all the time. Little do they know I drove a freaking Toyota Echo to and from school and to work every Stargate year.
Yeah, but he's assuming you probably drive a Bentley or something. It's like you're driving a little three banger.
Where's your chauffeur? But so we're taking this car, and I'm sitting there. I'm like there with Lance Hendrickson. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. But he starts telling me, he's like, when the apocalypse comes, how are you gonna pay for milk? I'm like, I don't know, Lance. You tell me. How am I gonna pay for milk? He's like, silver. You need silver. And so he was.
I like how he sounds like a pirate.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Silver hard. You gotta have precious metals. Yeah.
But he convinced me that like if there was a really nasty downturn, that silver was the way to go. So I went home and I bought a whole bunch of silver stocks, and of course they have done nothing but tank ever since then. And I met him again at another convention. I was like, dude, silver, like what you told me. I was sort of joking, but I was like, you told me silver. I bought silver, and the stocks have gone. Stocks? What do you mean stocks? You gotta buy the silver, and you shave off the pieces to pay for the milk. I'm like, dude, what? He's like burying silver on his property and stuff. Like I was like, wait, what? I mean, I don't even know if he's.
Did you happen to look down to see if he had a digital ankle bracelet on? Like just.
That's it. But I was like, so I just do not take stock advice from anyone anymore. Because every single short bet that I've ever heard, like, oh wait, you got to get in on this new biotech thing. It's like I either miss it and screw up entirely, or I buy it and it's a disaster. So I don't even bother.
Yeah, I've kind of developed a little bit of what would you even call it? Like a perception in the public of doing things too late. Like I'm always the guy that'll like unbox and review a piece of technology after like its successor already came out. Like, I'm like, hey guys, today we're gonna review this like really cool freaking driving steering wheel. They're like, wait, doesn't the company already have like a new one out? Isn't that the one from like 2 years ago?
Version
like,
2 is already out. Yeah. So it's a retro. It's a retro unboxing.
Yeah, it's like I like doing unboxings like way after they're done. So and surprisingly there is a market for that for people that watch that stuff. But the cryptocurrency
episode
deal.
51. Wow.
What's that?
You're on episode 51.
It's going up fast. Like as a matter of fact, I got to fix it in the title because now that's going to give me like wicked OCD here. Let's just up it by one, and then I'll hit save, and then hopefully the whole stream doesn't crash. And now it should be correct for anybody else that enters the channel.
Business Insider. Okay, I have to check that out. I got to check out. There's a Business Insider article about this whole thing.
Ooh, we might have to open that up and look at it. Hey, Michael, thank you for the $5. He said, GameStop to the moon. What's it at today? I'm kind of curious. So is GameStop still like holding up above $100? Let's see. GameStop. Wow, no, 325? What? It's up another 67% today after the last drop. This is an after hours though. So I bet you it opens on Monday and it just crashes like into the dirt. I don't know how long can they keep. God, imagine what GameStop is thinking right now. Like the employees in the board of directors. Like, could you imagine having a company where it's like, hey guys, we're down to $4 a share and we're tanking and the entire market is shorted us at 150% and there's no way out. We're all going to have to just burn the building down and collect the insurance money. And then the next day they come into work and it's like, our stock is actually outperforming every other stock in the entire history.
We're multimillionaires again now.
Exactly. Like somebody came in and they're like, I could sell if I sold all my stock, I'd only have $10. And then they come in and it's like, if I sold all my stock, I'm going to drive a Bentley. Just crazy. I mean, look, I think it's just like there's sour grapes on my part. I wish I was in the inside on this stuff, but it's funny. They were talking about AMC and whether it's going to save these companies. I don't know that it's going to save the company, right? It won't.
No, I mean, what'll happen is as always, the people who've got all the stock and which are going to be the owners or the execs are all going to make a ton of money if they probably cash out while it's high. Like everyone knows that this is a blip. So all the bigwigs are going to just like cash out on it, right?
Yeah, no company's going to come in and just buy GameStop and be like, "Oh my God, you guys did something amazing and cured cancer." Like they know it's a fluke, right? So they're not going to come in and just buy them up. And then the other problem
pivot. They know they're popular, so maybe they can pivot into something else. I mean,
you know what they'd be smart to do though? Like if they could, I don't know, the SEC might have a little bit of a shit fit over this, but doing a stock buyback right now would be like insanely smart. Literally dump as much stock as they legally can, like announce it publicly, announce it to the investors, dump the stock, and then as soon as it tanks after this blip's over and they've moved on to the next big thing or whatever, then just buy all your stock back up at like pennies on the dollar.
God, that would be tough though. Because boy, they'd be after them for that, wouldn't they?
The thing is, there's a lot of companies you can technically do stock buybacks. Like, it is legal as long as like you disclose your sales. But the thing is they'd lose control. The board would lose control of the company if they did that, right? I mean, they'd fall under their 51% share. But who cares at this point? The company was dying anyways. Just let the people own it. Like, at that point, just appoint the investors as the board of directors. You know, which is never a good idea, by the way. But you know, just appoint them. Sell off your stock, all the executives just disappear and go away, including the CEO. They all come in and get replaced by random people from, you know, the top investor vote, and the company just goes into the ground, into obscurity anyways, like it was going to, and you've got all the investors are like, man, we just made like $1 trillion. This is awesome. But something tells me the SEC probably, there's probably some rules that say that they can't do that, because I know Bill Gates used to sell he still does, I think. He sells 500,000 shares a year. And gives the money to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So he sells, regardless of what the stock price is. Like, and that may have something to do with it too. Is I think he has.
He may have to. Like, as long as it's an automatic buy, then it's all right, or an automatic sell, then it's fine.
Yeah, as long as the investors like know it's coming, I think that's what's important. Is like, as long as the investors know that when they see this 500,000 sell off, that it's not because the company did something horrible, or it's an indicator that because if you see a stock tanking, you immediately start freaking out and wondering like, what the fuck happened. Like, I've done that before, like where the stock goes that, you know, a long time ago, I used to buy some stocks. Not a lot.
That's when I buy.
Yeah. You buy as it's going down, but then it just keeps going down. You're like, oh my God, what happened? But what you don't realize is there was like a little tiny blip. Everybody else panicked and jumped on and started dumping their stock, which created even more of a dip. And so it's like a cumulative effect, right? Because the investors, if they can't get information, like if there isn't a clear reason why the stock is going down and there isn't like some clear news, everybody panic sells.
Yeah.
Like, so, and then that destabilizes the stock. So, and I think that like GameStop kind of did that in the other direction, right? Everybody was shorting it and wanted it to go down to make money. And then everybody else was like pumping it up, and everybody's like, what in the fuck's going on? There's no news. GameStop didn't release anything new. There's nothing that justifies a stock like just going up like this. So everybody started like freaking out and just like dumping their short positions and losing their ass and getting out of it.
Did they shut down the Reddit? There was the Wall Street bets. Someone said that they'd shut that down.
I think what happened is because some people were messaging me too, and they're like, "Oh my God, they banned these groups and they banned the Discord." No, the Discord got banned because a bot network jumped on there and flooded it with racist shit. Like, they were literally just joining like thousands of bots into every channel and just spewing racist propaganda. And so they banned the Discord server, and then the Reddit group got set to private because they were also being targeted by bot networks that were coming in there and basically just scamming people. So they shut that, but they got it all under control now. The group is back, so you can go to Wall Street Bets. At least you could yesterday, and it's back online again. And the funny thing is, because the media gave this so much attention, the mainstream media, it's like the Twitter. I think the Twitter went up by like double, and the Reddit group's gone up by like triple or something for membership. So everybody's flooding this thing, waiting for the next big thing, right? Which means now, whatever the next stock is that they target, as long as it's not,
they can go even higher.
Oh my God, it could. Yeah. Like the army that they've built right now, like Wall Street is really like afraid of how to deal with this, which I love. I think that that's great because I think it's incredibly unfair that the hedge funds, not only can they risk billions of dollars shorting a stock, which when you short a stock, you're betting against the company, right? You are literally, you have every inclination to use your power and your influence to trash that company. You do, if you see them doing something good, you're going to do everything in your power to try to trip them up without, triggering the SEC. So that's one thing that makes it kind of bad. The other thing that makes it bad is when a hedge fund loses like $8 billion, there's always somebody there to bail them out. It's like during COVID, Trump pumped $3 trillion into the stock market, right? I mean, because it was tanking. That $3 trillion.
Oh, the housing collapse. They were bailing out the banks and the investors, but not the freaking people who are losing their houses.
Exactly. I mean, auto industry, same thing. Airlines, multiple times. I mean, it's like the government.
Don't even get me started. I ranted about airlines today.
Oh my gosh!
Because oh my God, we're talking about like they're pitching freaking seat sales in a pandemic. They have been the most irresponsible. Like, I know it's bad for their business, but you know what? It's also kills people. Like, you want to show people you care? Script your stupid marketing bullshit and just like save people's lives. Like, cancel the freaking flights. Don't wait for the government to do it for you.
What now subsidizing the airlines during like a pandemic and stuff like that, I don't have a problem with that actually. Like I'm okay with it because that's a mass transportation, right? We need that. Like in a modern society, you do need some form of mass transportation.
But if you're going to subsidize them, but don't subsidize them while they're pitching freaking cheap seats to freaking the Caribbean.
No, exactly. Like they need to shut down operations or put in like, people need to be wearing bubbles around their heads, right? Or just let's not get because every time I've ever flown on an airplane, I've gotten sick. Like every single time. It's like that recycled air is not filtered for bacteria and stuff. It's like every one of those little kids that's on the airplane that's like picking their nose and blowing snot rockets all over everything. That's all ended up in your face. Like it doesn't matter if you're in first class or not. You're getting hammered. So,
although someone had said that apparently because of the requirements on the plane for the quality of the air, that it actually probably is less airborne. It's more likely you could still get, those little sticky fingers all over the back of your seat and stuff. Like if that's not cleaned properly. But I don't know about the air. That would be a good James Gurney question actually, whether it is safe or not.
I know the recirculation pump drives off of the engine. The turbine is actually what drives the pressure pump that pressurizes the cabin.
Which makes sense. Because they always shut down while they're sitting on the tarmac.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I learned that watching a freaking YouTube video. They were like, and I was like, wait a second. So the pump that pressurizes the cabin is actually like in the engine housing on the turbine. Like, what happens if the seals leak on that? Does exhaust just like pour into the cabin and everybody gets like asphyxia? Like, because it is pulling the air from outside. Like it's not pressurizing the cab with anything but the air from outside.
Well, God, remember that? What was that jet plane that flew along for ages by itself? Everyone was dead.
Wait,
and
the
flame, yeah, there was a little jet, like a private jet. It had like a number of people in it, and the plane had either had lost pressure or there was a fire or something, and it just poisoned the air. So everyone was dead, but the plane was on auto flight.
Wow. Birdie said,
I can't remember what that was.
He said actually the air for the actual flight is scrubbed. The airport itself, good Lord, no, that's where you get the virus and germs.
Yeah. That's what I figured. More of the getting in and out of the plane is the bigger problem.
Yeah, because I know
that was the golfer's flight. That's right. It was a golfer's flight. That's right.
So like what? Everybody died on board from like
a famous golfer. Yeah,
or what?
They literally like had to pull. I don't know what they did, but they pulled up beside the plane and looked in, and it's like they're all dead. It's like a horror story.
MKMe said the air comes in from the engines. It comes off of the front impeller. No exhaust anywhere near it. No, I mean that's fair. That's fair as long as the thing's in motion, right? Like, well, actually, even if it wasn't in motion, it's still sucking air and blowing it backwards, right? So as long as you're ahead of where the combustion occurs, it should all suck out the back. Still, it's just a weird thing to think about.
But you still got surfaces. You still got people breathing on you. It may recirculate the air, but if there's someone behind you with COVID breathing on you, that you're picking up elements of it. Or sneezing or coughing or any of that kind of stuff. I guess they've got masks on and stuff, but to me. It's not even just the flight itself being safe. It's the whole concept of this is where we're seeing such a difference between the privileged and the underprivileged. The reality is that this disease is completely disproportionately hitting people who don't have money and resources.
Yeah. No, that's true. What'd they say?
And the elderly.
Yeah, they were saying people of color getting hit twice as hard.
This is it.
And there's no and they're trying to figure out if there's a genetic marker or something. Nope. It's just literally they disproportionately have worse access to healthcare, worse access to medical, less likely to go in to the doctor because of financial issues. Like it's dumb. It's dumb that in a society that's supposed to be enlightened, that we have technology, we can land stuff on the moon and like mine an asteroid and bring back its stuff. We can't figure out how to just feed people and give them healthcare. I think that's just really stupid.
It'd be basic things: keep people healthy, keep people fed, keep people sheltered. Like that. I'm not saying like let's roll in the Red Army. I'm just saying I think that they're in a way that I hadn't believed before. I'd always been more on the conservative side of things, because I've always felt like the government screws things up, so keep them out of as many things as possible, generally.
Yeah, no, the government that's one of my conservative views I hold, is like smaller government. Like, I understand a need for government, but we don't need one this big. No.
It doesn't exist anymore. There's no such thing as small government conservative anymore. Because even the conservatives spend like the conservatives spend like they used to accuse the Democrats of spending.
So times 10, right? It's like it doesn't.
Yeah, so sense. I don't consider myself a conservative anymore, because there is no such thing as a small government conservative anymore.
Yeah, it's like we're going to make a smaller government by creating a whole new branch of government, building the Great Wall of China. Like, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and if you're going to spend money at this point, if you're going to spend money, I would almost rather have the Democrats spending the money than the Republicans at this point, because I feel the Republicans, the money's going towards like the NRA and
they're just going to the Bentley dealership and just buying like 100 cars instead of meals and food and stuff that they need.
I'd rather have the bleeding hearts right now. You know what I mean? I'll go with the bleeding heart hippies for a while if they can look after and save a few lives in the process. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, man, it's true. The thing is, like, what other solution? The airlines still. like playing devil's advocate here, it's like the airlines still need to operate because there are people that do need to still move about. Like, you know, they have good reason to, as long as it can be done safely. But I don't feel like I watched a video just yesterday of a lady. They had to deplane an entire plane because a lady refused to put her mask on, and I'm like, and all they did was kick her off the plane. Like all
then she doesn't get on the plane and she goes to fucking jail. I don't understand. There's no debate there. That is attempted murder.
You're deplaning everybody. You're holding up the whole thing. Every plane that leaves late, that's another plane that's leaving late somewhere else. Like their schedule has to be like kept really, really, really tight because they're landing and occupying space and taking off again. And you have this lady literally causing like an hour-long struggle, being forced off the plane, and then they don't do anything. They don't press any charges or anything against her. And it's like, no, like she knew the rules were when she got on that plane, she had to wear a mask. She physically had a mask when she went on the plane. She refused to wear it once she got on the plane. It's like that's not okay.
And
like,
this isn't about freedom. Example. This is a private venture. This is a private company, and they have rules in order to use they have rules for safety. They have rules, even if they're not for rules for safety. They got the rules. They enforce them. I mean, like if you
don't like it, don't fly the airplane. Go get your own airplane or your own helicopter or drive a car. Yeah. Like you using the plane, you abide by the rules.
Or someone starts like Freedom Air, where you can do whatever the fuck you want. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't. I mean, like that's fine. If there's truly a market for that stuff, then someone will start an airline that doesn't care about masks.
What was that movie? Was it Soul Plane? Oh my God, go watch Soul Plane. That was the greatest movie ever. Yeah. That's basically what you described. Just an airplane where anything goes. It's like literally just drugs and liquor and like a disco ball and a dance floor and just like everything that shouldn't be on an airplane.
If there's a market for it, then fine. You guys want to be idiots? That's fine. You could call it like Lemming Air or something. I mean, like it's just like you go right ahead. But
oh my God, dude.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like, I mean, you can't just say, oh, great, there's a COVID's on, so airlines should die. The problem is, I think people are still trying to find fair in all this, and there's nothing fair about a freaking virus. A virus doesn't go like, you know what, I shouldn't really kill all those old people. That people feel so bad about it. I mean, like, we should kill some young people too. Like, it's not. There's nothing fair about it. Of course, it's not fair. Some people are going to have it harder than others. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think we're trying to apply this kind of blanket statement to things. No, if there's a no-fly, then no one should be flying. Yeah. It's like unless they're like healthcare or some kind of security-related thing. But like we got assholes in our neighborhood who are hopping on planes and flying to BC for skiing trips and stuff. Like they should not be allowed to do that.
And then they come back and they spread it. Yeah.
Well, they probably don't because, again, they're in this rarefied air. They're probably flying first class. And, there's actors taking freaking private jets back and forth. And everyone's like, well, it's a private jet. I'm like, yeah, but they still have to leave. They're still putting everyone else in that bubble at risk, right?
Yeah, and they go to the ski resort and stuff. They're going to go to the bars and drink and stuff. They are going to interact with the plebs. I mean, you don't have rich people without the plebs.
They're going to go see their kid, and their kid's been going to school. I mean, and then they're going to hop back on a plane and come back for the rest of shooting. I mean, like, I don't know. It just feels like it feels like this has really showed, again, it's like the Black Lives Matter thing to some extent, where it's just showed that there are different rules for people with money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's really highlighted it. I think there's always been, like people have always understood that like if you have money, you have more privilege. That's like something that I think that everybody, whether they like it or not, it's like they've witnessed that sometime in their life. I don't think most people thought it was as bad as it actually is. Like this whole situation with GameStop is really highlighting it, where it's like every average people are now making money. People that can invest $1 versus investing $10,000 are able to make some money. The second that they do, everybody comes in for like seemingly no reason and just cuts them off from that and claims that they're protecting them.
And the company, and the company's more than happy to take their money.
Exactly,
the company's more than happy to take whatever percentages they get on the sales or these accounts that are set up. But as soon as it starts going wrong, they're like, whoa, wait a second, we didn't mean for us to lose. Well,
it was
money.
Like I was over on Twitch, so I watched an interview between Chris Como and the CEO of Robinhood, the app that allows that the app literally has a mantra of we allow regular people to invest, like we're helping the little guy gain some ground. And he asked me, just like, what?
I don't think we're allowed that up here.
Oh, you don't have that?
I don't know. Is anyone? We got any Canadians in there who's got? Is
there a Canadian version of Robinhood?
Or is it allowed to? Do you have to? I mean, I guess I could just go in as an American, I suppose.
So
I mean, I have a Fidelity account. I use that, but it's a whole different story.
Right, and if you have a funded trader account, then you can still buy and sell GameStop. The people that got cut off were the people that don't have the money to buy large volumes of stock. Which sucks.
Okay.
Like, so Robinhood, the way Robinhood works, as I understand, I haven't used it myself, but a lot of people have been kind of educating me over the last couple of days, is you don't have to buy a whole stock. You can literally go in there and just like go in $1, and then like they'll find 10 other people with $1, and then they'll go buy a $10 stock with it. And then when they sell it, the proceeds get divvied among the people that invested into it. So Robinhood is basically becoming like an intermediate for a time. They're basically turning stocks into timeshares. Like everybody's like getting a little piece of it, right? So they can experience the good life. But then they cut this. But the thing is, they're not financially responsible. Like they're getting the money from the people to buy the stock, and then when they sell the stock, if it makes money, they give it back to the people. If it doesn't, they take it away from the people. So they're not fiscally responsible at any point during the transaction. However, they decided to cut off everybody from GameStop, as it turns out, because the chief investor in Robinhood is the hedge fund that lost $8 billion that had to be bailed out. And the only reason you would cut off GameStop is because the hedge fund was losing massive money. So by stopping people from buying it and only allowing people to sell it, you basically caused that to crash back down and allow them to recover.
Their claim, though, was, and I don't know whether this is valid or not, their claim was that they had to, because there is a difference between the time that someone does the trade and the trade actually happening, that there has to be a buffer of funds, that they have to have a buffer of funds in place. I don't know whether it's by law or whether it's just by their corporate structure, whatever the thing is, that they basically could no longer guarantee that if all of a sudden all those trades disappeared, that they would have the money to cover those trades in the time, if that makes sense. So they had there's some kind of a buffer of some sort that they were saying that the reason why they stopped trading was not because they didn't want people trading it, was because that they could no longer guarantee those trades were going to happen because they didn't have the coverage. I don't know whether that's valid or not.
That would actually make sense if they were option trading, like in the margins, basically, because an option, right? You're not actually buying the stock. You're basically just buying a position. And if it goes up $10, you get $10. If it goes down $10, then you owe them $10. But if you're buying a stock outright, it doesn't matter if it goes up or goes down. You don't owe anything, right? You either get less money back or you get more money back. There's no case in which you owe them more money when you buy.
Oh, there you go. So the buffer was 4%, and now it has to be 100% set by the DTC, whatever that is. I don't know what the DTC is.
Yeah, I don't know what the DTC
someone came in and put, like, a billionaire came in and just put $1 billion and said, "Fine, let them trade," which I think is great.
Yeah, apparently they're still locked down. They're
still locked down.
Yeah, people are saying Robinhood is still locked down. That's ridiculous, though, because the thing is, and it affected the market. That was the thing is, this wasn't implemented by the SEC. This wasn't implemented by the stock exchange. The stock exchange could have just halted, trading on that stock if they felt that there was like something nefarious going on. So there was like nothing really bad.
But there is nothing nefarious going on. That's the whole thing. It's just like, it's like you don't think these freaking hedge funds are sitting down at dinner and going like, "What are you buying next month?" I'm thinking about this. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like, it's just like this stuff's happening anyways.
Oh, they are being sued. I just received the class action lawsuit against Robinhood. So here, if you guys actually, I guarantee you, we got a lot of people here in chat that are pissed off about this. So if you guys want to join the class action,
they didn't have the
screwed, there's the link.
Yeah,
it's in chat
I thought that was the key. Yeah, I thought that was it. So there was so they've got a legitimate way of going, but at the same time, a legitimate reason for stopping it. But if you
I don't think they do, though. I still argue that I don't think they do.
Well, no, they should have known. Like they should. Yeah. How dare they work on such a razor's edge on this stuff? Because there's people who will have lost possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, I have a friend who bought he bought at 150. He came in kind of late, as it was skyrocketing. And then it went up to 350, and he went to sell it, and it was fluctuating. He's like, no, I'm gonna hold it. He's like, I'm gonna hold on to it. And then the next day, it's like he goes to sell it, or sorry, he went to sell it? Oh no, he sold it. He made a little bit of profit, and then he went and bought some more, and it went underwater. And for whatever reason, I have to ask him. He was forced to sell it. He was basically forced to sell. I don't know if it was Robinhood involved, but he was forced to sell it. And he said he ended up losing all the money he made on the first round in the second round because basically he was forced to sell. I need to ask him what happened there, but it had something to do with one of these things where he's like, man, I'm going to sue the shit out of this company. They wouldn't process my sell order. Then it went down too low. And then when they finally did process it or whatever, he lost a shitload of money. It's volatile as hell.
My fear is that it's going to be that there's going to be now some kind of, I don't want legislation saying that we're no longer allowed to do this. That's my fear. It's like, well, you can't have these little trading companies anymore because they got to be big, established, safe companies that we've already bailed out ones. You know what I mean?
You know what? I think honestly that they need to restructure the stock exchange so that people can literally trade directly with the stock exchange without a middleman. Why doesn't that exist?
Exactly. Why do you need a middleman?
Yeah. Why can't I just go to the New York Stock Exchange webpage and say I want to buy a share, I want to sell a share of this? Like, why can't I do that? That's stupid that these big companies are in place because they get to do it. I don't know what they're doing to satisfy the requirements to do that, but they're able to do it, right? The hedge fund operator can do that,
and they're taking commissions. I mean, like, the loads on some of these things are ridiculous. I mean, that's something else that I remember my dad pointing out was like, but just be careful, like what you're investing in, because look how much you're spending. Look, cryptocurrency is another great one for that, where you go like, I spent how much in commissions on buying that? So not only does it have to make the money back, it's got to make the money back plus whatever commissions they're going to take when you then sell the stock.
Yeah.
So, people think they're making a fortune, and really the only people who are actually making any money are the people who are selling you this stuff.
Well, somebody pointed out something on my last live stream about Robinhood, and they're like, well, Robinhood actually has data that no other company has in the stock trading business. And that is they have perception of what customers are going to do quite a ways before they do it. So if you want to buy a stock and 10 other people want to jump in and buy a stock, you have to be grouped together to purchase that stock, right? Because Robinhood's this intermediate. They buy the stock on your behalf, and then when they sell it, the proceeds get divvied up or whatever. So they have that information before the trade is committed, which means they can share that information with their investors like the hedge fund, and the hedge fund can see when people are about to do a huge sell and when people are about to do a huge buy, which allows them to come in with automation and instantly counter that move and make as much money off of it as humanly possible. And the SEC should be handing their ass to them for that.
That just seems...
How is that not insider trading? That is literally.
I was going to say that seems
trading.
like the very definition of insider trading.
Yeah. So I think that's horseshit. I think it's horseshit that these companies even have to exist for you to get involved in the market. I think that if you have a dollar, if you have a tangible, crispy dollar in front of you and you want to give it to the New York Stock Exchange to invest, you should be able to do that. It should be like freaking your bank, right? It's like put some money in, take some money out. I don't understand why these private entities are the ones that get that level of access to the New York Stock Exchange, and then all of us have to pay them a premium or pay them commissions or, whatever their structure is for making money. I think that's silly. Now, at the same time, I don't think it's bad to have like investment firms. I think it's good that you can call up a guy and say, hey, will you manage my 401k? Because I have no fucking clue how any of this works. Like, can you push the buttons and make it go up? And so I'm okay with that within reason, as long as they're not, it's not like Wolf of Wall Street and they're throwing you to the, they're throwing you in the garbage to make other people rich.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that film.
Oh God, it's so good. I'm surprised you haven't seen it, dude.
No, I keep meaning to, but I can't really watch it with a kid. So
you can't, dude. It's like the movie literally like starts out with like a dude like snorting coke off of something that's probably should R-rated maybe.
You mean like the old acting days, right? Yeah.
Like what you used to do back in your trailer, back in the day.
me.
When you finally arrived and they took the pop-up camper away and gave you like one with hard walls.
The horse box. I'm in the horse box still.
Hey, Doherty Harms, thank you for the €5. I appreciate it. Said, hi, David. Is the little light on your hat working? Oh, yeah. You got that little... Got the headlight. Dude, that is the greatest invention ever. I love it when people invent stuff.
What's even better is it's got headphones too, right? It's got little headphone controls.
That is wild. Oh, wait. Those are the buttons? The little blue things?
Yeah. I don't have them in right now. I just have them because I'm charging them. But
how much does that hat cost? Like, if I want to buy one of those.
I don't know. Santa Claus gave it to me, Barnacules.
Oh my God, Santa Claus!
Santa Claus made it in his little workshop.
Santa Claus.
I think I sent you a link for it, didn't I? Oh, for God's sake!
You did. I'm sure I lost it. Oh, does it not turn off now?
Oh, wait a second. Here we go. You know what? Probably the stream's a little behind, so I keep missing it by one. Is it still on? There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. I'm done.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. I got the live feed, so I just ask me next time.
Right.
Sean, thank you for the $4. I appreciate it. Thank you for those super chats, man. Really do appreciate it. But as far as what's going on right now, I think it's good. I think honestly, what's happening with the cryptocurrency, what's happening with GameStop, what's happening with AMC and all these other stocks that are be targeted in Wall Street bets on Reddit. I think this is all good. Regardless of the little guy making money or not, this is exposing huge problems in the systems, huge inequities, and people are starting to like give a shit. Which is, I mean, that's the most important thing, right? You can screw people forever and ever and ever and ever, and they'll just take it as long as they feel like it's more hassle than it's worth to fix it. But now that it's like so public and they're starting, the average person now, it's not being explained to them like, well, you see, there's an algorithm where you got to hodl the cryptocurrency and you got to do the investment inverse portfolio. It's not confusing. It's just they're on there. They're like, listen, rich people know more than you do about the market. If they lose all their money, the government gives them back like 50% of it and says, try again. You don't have those things as a normal citizen. And you will never have those things as a normal citizen. And as long as those people have those things, they will continue to be in that class and you will continue to be forced in your class. And this is what pisses me off is it's like we're a lot more like India than we care to admit. And that is we do have like a caste system here. It's like we might not advertise it at the surface. We may not go around and wear clothing and stuff that indicates our caste and stuff like that. But we sure as hell have a caste system here. You are either poor, you're in the middle, or you are incredibly wealthy. And it's really hard for people to move between those.
And it's a skin color thing, right? Yeah. It's all old white guys like me. Old straight white guys like me. Yeah. Dude, see, eat the rich. Eat me.
Eat the rich. Screw racism. Screw sexism.
It's bizarre though. I mean, the other thing that always drove me crazy was why is it that when you want to launch a company, I listened to this amazing podcast, which I think you'd love if you haven't heard it already, which is How I Built This. It's an NPR podcast. No, and it's just interviews with people about the companies that they've built.
Oh, that's a good format. I like that.
But it's what's neat about it was I was listening to, there's a couple of other I was listening to. I was listening to one called My First Million, which is really fun, except that I found it started focusing on the money too much. And I honestly, the money I could almost care less about. Like, I made $1 million by buying a company and then just doubling what they were charging. I'm like, what? Well done. You know what I mean? Like that just seems scummy to me. But these How I Built the Company, almost invariably, they're people who just love doing whatever they were doing. So there's a great their process of learning it and how they turned it into a business. So one of the things that they were talking about was Samuel Adams. So Samuel Adams, the beer company, the craft beer company, they started a beer company. This guy, he's like sixth generation brewer. His dad tells him, whatever you do, don't go into beer. Like the guy basically went bankrupt trying to work as a brewer. His son decides to become a brewer.
Yeah, my dad told me don't ever fuck with computers. He's like, dude, they're just video games and you're wasting your time. And
really?
He's like, you need to do drywall like your dad and earn an honest living doing, manual labor. And he's like that little fucking video game that you're playing every day and clickety clack, that's just stupid. That's just a distraction. It's going to fuck up your whole life. And so the first time I showed him my Microsoft paycheck, he literally looked at me and he's like, I was wrong. And my dad never said he was wrong, ever.
It's the acting thing for me. My dad was like, oh yeah, they're going to pay you to act. Sure, kid.
And now he's watching you on reruns as he flips through like a dozen channels. God damn it, son, get off my TV. I want to watch football.
Yeah, I think he was very supportive, but again, he was supportive once he knew that you could actually earn a living doing it. But right. No, so the thing I was saying was that so Samuel Adams company, they wanted to raise money, so he brings in all the usual, whoever it is who has to come in and do all the pre-stuff. And he's realizing wait a second, this isn't about selling people stocks. This is about companies getting the first move advantage on all of these stocks, right? Yeah. This is just basically a way of saying okay, we'll let it out. People, the normal people, the plebes can buy this stock later. In the meantime, we're going to go out and make some really freaking lucrative deals at an early stage beforehand. I want to get in on that. I think that should be democratized. I want people to be able to invest money in startup companies and stop trying to protect us from wasting our money. Because the reality is some people are going to waste their money. Some people are going to do stupid things like take all of their money, gamble it on something, and lose it. They're going to do that whether it's through investing or gambling or whatever the hell else they're going to do. So stop trying to protect us from ourselves on that stuff. Let us do that. Because if you're smart about it, you could invest a little bit of money in something, that's not going to bankrupt you or you have your family out on the street, but just enough money, like $100 here, $100 there, when you can afford to lose it, because that's the only way I think you should invest in anything is if you can afford to lose it. And then you could reap the rewards from that. But I think we're getting it's like someone's skimming the cream off all of this stuff and then going, oh, look at this delicious milk. I mean, it's like. It just seems completely wrong to me. So what the Samuel Adams guy did was he got pissed off and he said, no, I don't want to do it like that. He, for a while there, he was selling 6-packs or 12-packs of his Samuel Adams with a sticker on it that said, send me the sticker and $450 and I'll send you stocks. and he raised like $6 million that way.
That's hilarious. So he just became his own stock exchange?
He just did. Well, I mean, he still had to go through all the bank stuff, but he basically sold stock to people who were buying his beer because he's like, that's who the people who believe in my company, the people who are buying my beer.
Yeah.
If I make these guys $1 million, they're going to buy my freaking beer for every freaking party they have, right?
Well, I mean, the biggest problem right now is that the people that are investing in these companies, the stock market's been manipulated to the point where it's like now it's short. Why is shorting a thing? Why is it okay to bet against the company?
To balance the system. Like you kind of need shorting because there needs to be mechanisms to keep, people need to be able to balance against, people need to be able to bet against things so that they can hedge their bets on other stuff, basically. Like that's not just big Wall Street people doing that. I mean, any of us could do, like I can go on Fidelity and I can short stock. I don't because it seems.
Oh, I know you can buy like I've seen it. Like you can buy you can buy the option packages or whatever. What they call them something else, but it's like basically an option, but it's in reverse, right? It's a stop loss or whatever. I don't know what they call it.
Well, I think you do want that too, right? Because you see some companies that are like you see them like announcing stuff about it's going to be the latest of this, and you look at the prospectus and you're like, this is bullshit. This is purely marketing that's driving a stock up. If you can, then you should be able to short on that, right? Like I wouldn't want to take that away from people, but I do think that it's symbolic of a Wall Street mentality of like, fuck the little man. We're going to, screw these companies. We'll destroy them if we have to. I think it's more about the influence that's the problem than the actual shorting itself, in my mind. But
I think that's fair. I just look at it from, the incredibly simplistic point of, it just sucks to have people that are investing in your company's failure. Like I understand if you're a competitor, if you're a competing company, like instead of shorting a stock, just go buy your competitors, go buy their competitor stock instead. Sell out of the company, buy their competitor, make their competitor steamroll them or whatever. But I just hate the idea of you can look at a stock and even if you have nothing to do with that company, you don't care about it. You're just like, you know what? If all of us short the shit out of that with billions of dollars, we're going to hurt that company and that's going to make us money. I feel like that's like a really sad thing to do. I mean, I understand that like when you enter the stock market, that's a risk that you take, right? Like when you IPO, you understand all of these things can happen. And if you have enough volume and you have enough trading and you're steady enough, then it takes an insane amount of power to hurt that, right? I mean, like you're not even a hedge fund is necessarily going to like do it. Was Gamestop was selected specifically, like you said, that it was a small enough target that a significantly large enough group of people could move it on their own, and they did in a big way. But like you said, that wouldn't have worked with Apple. That wouldn't have worked with Microsoft. That wouldn't have worked with stocks that are like over $100 a share with massive trading every single day.
But we're seeing that if they can get 2 million people together, I mean, there's going to be, who knows what other companies and organizations can have larger influences on that stuff, right? I mean,
crazy.
It's interesting. I mean, people hate the whole bot side of stuff, right?
Now that's balance, though. Like when you said that it's balance when you're shorting and stuff. Balance is when you have the little guy coming in massive numbers and going all Braveheart. You know what I mean? Like that's balance because now you have the little guys wielding a big ass sword. It's no longer like, oh, hey there, little pleb, as you're driving by in your armored vehicle. It's like your armored vehicle can't drive over 1,000 people. So it's like I think it's cool to see this power shift, and you can tell because of the crazy things they're doing, like shutting out these little guys and Robinhood coordinating with TD Ameritrade and everything to like shut this thing down and stop it. It's like it is clear that they shook the big guy. Like the big guy is shooken, right? The New York Stock
Exchange did not
shouldn't give a shit. They're making money, right? The New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, they did not see this.
No, not at all. And honestly, I didn't even think that this was something that could ever happen. Like I've never even really thought about like everybody ganging up to do something like this. But I always thought that, social media, it can be a tool and a weapon. It can. We've seen it happen. We've seen cults created with social media that have grown to sizes that
we got to get on that, Barnacules. We got to get a cult going.
We got to start the cult, man. We already got the base. You found the base. It's out in the middle of the sea somewhere.
So, yeah, didn't you like that?
That was awesome, dude. I didn't click on it to see what the price was. What were they asking for it?
It's actually for sale.
How much?
I should go find it. I'll find it. You say what you were going to say. I'll look it up.
Oh my God, I want to see how much that was because like so David found us a little base of operations that's for sale out in like the middle of the ocean. It's like an old oil drilling platform or something that's converted into like a little village, and it's literally for sale. And I
tried to run it by Jane. She was like, "There is no freaking way."
Is it in international waters? That would be awesome.
If it was. It's England. Like it's,
it is England. Okay.
Yeah, Jane would just not go for it.
So you'd have a bunch of guys in little dinghies going around with like their little batons and their hats and stuff. Stop! Cease what you're doing! Cease what you're doing!
So it's Portsmouth, It's Portsmouth, off the coast of Portsmouth. They were built 150 years ago as a sea defense against the feared French invasion.
Wow.
Les terribles Français.
So it's literally like a water bunker.
It's a water bunker. It's 9 million pounds. So that's like what?
Oh,
1,800,
shit.
18 million bucks.
Yeah,
but come on, we get enough of those Redditors together.
You know what's sad is like in today's like if Mr. Beast created a GoFundMe, he could buy that.
You could buy that. You could buy that for it. I would be so
like
jealous.
One day of GoFundMe, he'd be able to go buy that and just make one YouTube video of like burning the thing to the ground or something.
Here,
and he'd make more
I'll put a
money
link
back.
in the chat so people can see what's going on.
Yeah, can everybody take this link and tag Mr. Beast on Twitter and say please buy this and put it in a video?
Mr. Beast, don't buy it for us. Don't tag Mr. Beast. I want the Ford. I don't want that guy. He's just gonna give it away.
No. I got a strategy here, David. He's gonna buy it and then he's gonna destroy it and then he'll get bored and go do something else and then it'll come down in value to where we
get
can
a deal on it. Nice.
Yeah, so we send Mr. Beast in. They get their big money. He destroys the place, makes some YouTube videos, and then we go out and buy it for pennies on the dollar.
Oh, and if Mr. Beast does, he's going to need really good internet, so he could do that expensive installation of internet.
There you go. He can get the Starlink shit all working and everything. It'll be amazing. Or in his case, he can run like a fiber optic line out there, even better.
And there's 3 of them.
Wait, there's 3 that are identical to that? Like
there's 3 forts. Apparently, the 3 forts for sale. I mean, that's apparently. Yeah, that Mr. Beast stuff. I'm so torn on the Mr. Beast stuff because I said to Baz, he thought I was being racist. I said, it's like you're watching Japanese television all the time. And he's like, well, there's not always, just because it's anime doesn't mean, I'm like, dude, relax. I'm just saying that, traditionally when we used to watch those crazy shows that they were doing on live television in Japan, it was always like people either humiliating themselves or being humiliated on television. Or being embarrassed, it was always these like high emotion, high energy.
Yeah, like the game shows and stuff where it's like you literally just get pummeled to death for like 15 minutes, and then it's like, oh, you did not win anything. Oh, go home, nothing.
Buried in worms.
Yeah.
Or like it's all. I just feel like it's like we've literally turned into like my kid is just sitting there having like Simpsons jokes being like live projected into his brain because these are just all things that have been mocked by the Simpsons that are now like the fodder for his internet stream. I booted him off TikTok again last night. I said, this is nuts. You're just watching the stupidest stuff all the time. I said, you can pick your stupid stuff, but I don't want it being picked for you.
No, my wife, she watches a lot of TikTok, but she doesn't. She's somehow curated her feed though, where she doesn't see that stuff. Like she's got TikTok just showing her like cooking videos and crafting stuff and people being funny and nice.
She's going with who she's followed.
Yeah, exactly.
Baz goes to the recommended page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is just everything. So
the thing is, like, I think it just comes down to that human. It's a play on human mentality, right? It's like even if you don't like it, you'll still watch it for its shock value. Even if you're mad about it happening, you still watch it because you want to be mad about it happening. Like you want to be in the know. You want to know that it's happening, so you still watch it. So you're still contributing to the bottom line. And so you get these YouTube videos that have like, 100 million views where some dude just like runs up to somebody and smacks them in the face and makes funny Zoidberg noises and runs away. And that video's got like 10 million views and it's half down votes and half up votes. And it's just, I think people just, they like the excitement and the drama of stuff that shouldn't happen. It's like when I watch this series, and I feed into that system horribly, David. Like
Me too. Oh my God, it's ADHD.
You can't help it.
Perfect.
Like I watch this channel called Daily Dose of Internet. How many people here know Daily Dose of Internet?
Oh God, we watched it this morning. I was watching it with Baz this morning.
So I hate Daily Dose of Internet. Let me tell you why I hate it and why I can't stop watching it. And no, but it's a love-hate relationship. The reason I hate it is because this guy is literally stealing everybody else's content. He's not making any on his own, and he's just sticking it in a video and putting some stupid narration. Like, hi guys, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. Oh, look at this guy. He has a dog. Oh, the dog's cute. Oh, and he does that, and it gets like 10 million views. Like he's sitting there, maybe investing a total of an hour in each one of these videos, and he's probably making $50,000 to $80,000 in ad revenue per video every day. So this guy's literally millions and millions and millions of dollars a year.
It's and like I'm aggregation, curation. Yep. It's actually smart, but as you say, there's nothing. He's just
rebooting people's content. He doesn't put the links to all the videos down in the video description. Sometimes he'll put it on.
Oh, doesn't he? Now. Oh, I thought he did. I haven't.
When I've been watching it, I haven't seen it. So maybe he added them in. But no, when I watch it on the TV, like in the smart app, it's like every once in a while the video will show like a tag name, like a Twitter name or something. He'll put down in the corner, and it's like, but people.
drop
It's not
out.
enough. You need a link. You need something that people will click on so that they can go to it. And then in that case, I'd be like, okay, cool. He's bringing advertisement to these people. But I've gone to these channels. I've seen channels where he's used their clip, and I click on it and go to the YouTube channel, and their YouTube channel's absolutely tiny. And their original video has like maybe 10,000 views. And then his video has like, 100 million. And you're like, what the hell's going on here? So I don't like people that still come, but I can't help it because it's like, it's so much cringe in one small period of time. There's no other way to
cringe
and
cute. It's like cringe and cute. It's the two. It's like either it's like, oh, look at the puppy, or it's like, ooh, he almost died. Like it's. Baz was telling me I was horrified. I had one of the best game bandits. So as part of Tech Bandits, I do a game bandits as well, which is just sort of for my kind of kids who basically just only want to play video games. So one of the things we were talking about was just Reddit and well, that's right. We talked about Reddit because of this Wall Street bets thing and the GameStop. And then I said, okay, so you're not on Wall Street bets. What are you guys watching on Reddit? And I was horrified to hear like an 11-year-old tell me about how they're on 50-50 on Reddit, which I don't know do you know 50-50?
I don't.
So this is the 50-50. The idea is apparently you go onto this thing, you click a link. It is either going to be a cute little kitten or it's someone dying. So you don't know what you're going to get next. It could be cute or it could be killer.
They need to rename that to PTSD roulette. That's what that is.
And that's what I said. I said, I know that you probably find this hard to believe. I said, but there is stuff that once you've seen it, you will never be able to get that out of your head.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I've been the victim of that many times.
There are kids, my kid included, who've been on and watched this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, dude, like you've gotta, like, what do you do with that? Like Baz says that there's literally footage of people being killed. Like, like subway cams of people jumping or bridge jumps or, one guy's head got crushed. And I'm like, what? He goes, or cute kittens. I was like, no, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is like, this is literally breaking you. Like, This is breaking empathy. This is breaking. That was terrifying to me. But again, I'm not going to say go ban it. I'm just going to say because there's no way to get around that. But the idea that, I think we have to understand that our kids are doing that. Like, I did not know that. That's why I love this Tech Bandits, because I was like, the only time this would ever come up would be if you're stuck online chatting with the kids about random stuff and being able to just let them go. Yeah. And they went on this path themselves, and I was amazed at how many of the kids not only knew what 50-50 was, but had actually been there. And these are all kids under 16.
Yeah, ask Baz sometime if he knows what chat roulette is.
He's done chat roulette. Yeah, Baz told me about chat roulette.
Yeah, and chat roulette, like if we did it once on live stream, I couldn't even show it on screen. I just did it off screen while I was reacting to it. And I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. It was over on the Twitch stream, but I think it was out of 10 people. I just did, random select 10 people. Out of 10 people, 3 of them were just dudes, going to town on themselves in front of the camera. And then the rest of them, when I talked to them, like I actually got a couple people on there and I talked to them and I was like, oh, hey, just curious, have you guys been seeing a lot of wieners like flipping around these? And every single one of them was like, yeah, like every third one is some dude doing this. And I'm like, wow. Like, and like half the people that were coming up when I was selecting a new person was like maybe a kid that was like 12 to 14 years old. And I'm like, how the hell is chat roulette not just getting steamrolled by the government? Now I know how they're not, because there's a thing on the front that's like, oh, you must be 18 or older to use this. But nobody, fucking when I was 12 years old, I'd click. Like, I'd go to BBS when I was like 11 years old and it'd be like, you must be 18 to join the Sticks BBS. And I'd be like, sure am. What's your birth date? Okay, do the math. Okay, this is my new year. Yeah. And I'd be in.
Like fake ID to get alcohol and cigarettes. Exactly. Jesus, like we actually had to do some work to do that. But the reality is we still did it. So you can imagine that they're not giving it a second thought.
Right. Omegle is so much tamer than chat roulette. But the same thing happens on Omegle. The nice thing about Omegle, though, is it gives you like a thing at the bottom of the screen. It's like literally you have to check this box like to get that. Otherwise, if anybody does the bad thing on the other one, then they go after them. So, but chat roulette's like anything goes. Like chat roulette is just freaking, oh my God. Like I went on there just as a lull because I hadn't done it in so long. And that's all it is. That's all the whole thing is. Like they should rename that to something a little bit more descriptive. But now you got people that are going around watching. Oh, and then you got the people on there that are broadcasting stuff like like what is it, like pain Olympics and cake farts and all these like really you probably don't want to know. This is PTSD territory. But like all these like really well-known old shock videos that people used to post on social media to like make people throw up. And so people just put those on loop and throw them on freaking chat roulette so that people are like forced to watch it when they're like next viewer, and then they'll hit it and they're forced to watch it. And I've been bombed by people do that. That's why I don't click Bitly links anymore. Like people would send me Bitly links. Like we had a guy on Discord that was sending Bitly links to like literally illegal adult, like illegal pornography. Basically, he was putting links in the main general channel, and people are clicking on. I see a wall of text like, oh my god, what the fuck, oh my god, delete that message. And so we had to report him to Discord, and then I had to waste more time and go to the FBI again. And it's like these people are doing it for shock value. Like that's all it is. It's like there's no weird like vendetta. There's no weird like they like seeing the shock on people's face when they witness that stuff. And that's why I think reaction videos are so big. Like YouTube even had to like put a thing in the algorithm to stop reaction videos from going to the top 10 because anytime you went to YouTube on the front page, it was just all reaction videos. People reacting to other people's content.
Right.
And yeah, it was like the
we're like it's like kinda. The snake is eating its own tail. Exactly. I mean, we're like at this point now where but again, it's also cheap content. You get to relive the thrills of stuff that people have already seen. You know, you get away with reposting other people's content by having it in a small window in the corner or whatever. I mean, yeah, that stuff drives me crazy too. I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, it's like, God, we're turning into Waldorf and Statler. It's like, I don't know, I hate that too. But I just feel like
bad kids are getting so desensitized. Like, it was one thing, like, when I was growing up, and it's like, oh, you go look at a nudie mag, or get on a BBS and wait 4 hours for, like, X modem to download a 2400 baud, like a 640, 480. Yeah, like, where's the nipples? Come on, nipples, come on.
I'm almost there,
disconnected, no carrier. Oh, no!
Dad!
You know, it's like that was, back then, it's like, yeah, that was fairly innocent. But now we're living in an age where it's like your kids are growing up, and during their most impressionable period, well, you think they're sitting over there, just watching this thing called TikTok and everything, like, every fourth or fifth video that's showing up is like, why don't you eat a Tide Pod, And it's like, oh, God, it makes me cringe because those kids are going to grow up to be adults at some point. I mean, unless Darwin steps in with the shit that they're doing. But presumably they're going to grow up and they're going to become adults. And it's like, what does a society look like where all the adults are like that? Like, what does a society look like when every single adult is just desensitized to people's heads exploding and their guts pouring out all over the road and like bombs blowing up cars
and can't concentrate for more than 2 seconds on anything? Like, right. I mean, and we're bad too. Like, I mean, I got a cell phone. I'm on the cell phone all the time. I mean,
I just said I watch Daily Dose of Internet. I literally watch I even subscribe to his channel. I watch every video. And every video, I'm like, fuck this guy for stealing everybody's content. Here, take some more of my money and some more of my, what do they call it? Mental currency or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I can't help it. I can't. And so it's like, I'm mad at him, but at the same time, it's like, I understand why he does it because it's literally playing on a human instinct and it makes him a lot of money. And to him, I'm sure from his perspective, he thinks it's seemingly harmless. And to the people he's advertising, they're probably like, oh my God, I got a Daily Dose of Internet video. And it's like, you don't realize though, you made him that famous. Like your content is what made him that
Fail Army. Like the number of, like now it's like when someone fails now, it's the first thing that people say, Fail Army. Because someone's filming it, like it's.
Dude, there's a channel. Oh my God, there is a channel over the air broadcast where I live. I don't know if somebody's broadcasting or if they have a license, but over the air when I use my OTC antenna, I flip through, there's a Fail Army channel. It is literally a broadcast 24/7 Fail Army channel.
It's like, it makes sense. The cheap, really freaking cheap content that if you're flicking channels, you're going to stop on it because you watch some idiot just turn over a dune buggy or something. I mean,
dude, it's literally ouch my balls from Idiocracy. Did you watch the movie?
Idiocracy is one of the most brilliant movies I've ever seen, and I want to see it again because I need to go back and look at it again because the number of times I keep coming back to this, it's like, okay, so what if all of the stupidest people on the planet have the most kids, whether they be, religious zealots or just complete idiots? They have kids, and all the smart people stop procreating.
And that is literally the synopsis of the story. It's like perfect.
But it's not even that. That's the synopsis of our fucking planet right now.
It is. It's like it became a documentary in the last couple of years. Yes. It's a documentary now. It totally is.
It's terrifying.
Like you basically have President Camacho. You basically have. I mean, it was wild. It's absolutely.
Yeah, I got to see that.
Like QAnon is like, I mean, completely possible in the context of idiocracy, right? Oh, plants like electrolytes. They don't like water. Oh, I talked to the plants. They want water. Okay, well, if they say so, it's like the shit that they believe is pretty phenomenally funny. In the future, it's like amazing. People don't believe what the truth is. They just make shit up and they follow whatever the machine tells them to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the movie. The movie was crazy prescient. I mean, like
if you haven't seen it, please watch it. Idiocracy. It's fantastic. It's so good.
I'm gonna watch it again. because maybe I'll get Baz to watch it. Look, I think part of the stuff here I feel like is I still don't despair because I still feel like technology is going to solve this stuff. I mean, eventually we're going to have AI that goes like, that's a guy wanking off. We'll pop him onto another channel. I mean, eventually there's going to be services where you just go, if you just want to flick around watching people do that, then great, There you go. They got their own specialty service.
Yeah,
but
if you go there for that, I am 100% for it.
Yeah, great.
I am 100% for it, man. But like go, you don't go into a grocery store
or something.
Yeah, you don't go into a grocery store because there's a shooting range there. It's like you go there to buy milk. It's like you go to the shooting range when you want to like shoot some targets. You don't go to the grocery store to do that. So that part gets, because then it feels forced on you, right? It's the difference between you getting to choose it or somebody else getting to choose it for you. It was something like chat roulette where you go in there, it's like somebody else is choosing it for you. Now, you could argue that, you're using the service and you're on there, but keep in mind that chat roulette was not originally designed for that. That's literally, that's the roulette, the Russian roulette aspect of it is that you might get something that's really, really bad. But as long as you know,
there's that,
as long as you know it going into it, I don't have a problem with it. It's when you don't. The big problem I have is like people that post links to like horrific shit on social media and say, oh my God, this is so cute. Oh my God, you're gonna laugh so hard. And you click on it and it pops up and then it starts out as like a regular video of like a prank, and then just in one frame it switches to like people just getting gunned down or children being murdered.
Well, this is what I worry about,
because
our kids are seeing this. Like, that's the reality. And so I feel like I'm no longer going to try to stop him from seeing the stuff. All I can do now, I think, is to educate him as to the reasons why why this isn't a good thing.
Yeah. Well, if you block him from viewing it, he'll just want to view it more. And unless you can watch that kid 24/7, I guarantee you every time he's out of your sight, he's going to be doing something out of curiosity.
Well, and if it's not chat roulette, then it's called chat. It's the talk roulette, or it's like there's another app will show up. I mean, the problem is I feel like we're all addicted to that dopamine hit. Like, we're like, it used to be like we're all rubbernecking at car accidents because we're just like, what is that? We can't help it. We just have to look at that stuff. The algorithms have figured out that is like freaking super glue for our brains. I mean, we're just like, we like the fumes, and we're glued once we're on it. You know what I mean? So
it's like the runner's high. Everybody figured out how to get the runner's high without doing any of the work.
Yeah,
like that's what it is. You know what this is gonna evolve to? I guarantee you, like Neuralink, like Elon Musk's Neuralink. At some point, you are just literally gonna have a button implanted into your neck, and you're just gonna touch it. It's basically just gonna give you an orgasm instantly. You're just gonna be like, oh, and then what you're gonna see is every person walking around is gonna have a phone in one hand. Like this, or actually, no, nobody talks on it anymore. But everybody's phone in one hand and one finger just going like this. Like every single person
you're just walking down the street staring into space with a pair of like plastic-lined pants on. I mean, like it's just like you know what I mean. Like it's, I do think that's where it's going to go. I absolutely think it's going to where it's going to go. The question is, how do we somehow, again, is there a way that we could be using this technology to counteract it or to look, we're going to look back on this time and go like, oh my God. Like in the same way that we go like, Wissick, there used to be cocaine in Coca-Cola. Like they're going to be like, there used to be, the internet was completely, you could do whatever you wanted. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like
you used to have to go to a website to see naked ladies do what? It's built into my brain. I downloaded the package, dude. Like,
I just think naked and they go popping into into my little, into my cerebral cortex. I mean,
I got X-ray vision inserted into my eyes. Everything's naked now. It's like, it's technology. Every piece of technology that can be used for good will ultimately also be used for bad. That's just the curiosity aspect of humanity and the power grab aspect of humanity. I don't think we fix that so much. Yeah, I don't think we fix it so much as we just kind of have to keep it in check best we can. Yeah. You're never going to make it go 100% away. Hey, Dingo on my 40, thank you for that $2 super chat. And Sir Deluxe, thank you for the $7.22. What's that?
What was that? Dingo, what's his name?
Dingo on my 40.
Dingo.
Yeah, I think it means he's being chased by a dingo.
I like it.
Inside of the Ages, thank you for the $5. Said bringing race into this dilutes the economic oppression we all share in common. The elite pour gas on race to keep us divided. Unite. Nah, I don't agree with that.
I disagree.
I don't agree with that. I mean, hey, everybody's welcome to their opinion, but I don't agree with that because that when you say that by ignoring something and not talking about it and just grouping everybody together into one unit, that's going to solve a problem. No, that's exactly why there's the 1%ers and everybody else. Like, you can't just put it and say, oh, everybody has the same struggles. Like the dude, oh, we all put on our pants one leg at a time, but the dude's having his butler do it versus you not even having a pair of pants to put on, right? It's like, you can't just say that. That's why I used to be, and I'll be completely frank, I used to be like all lives matter until I understood that, no, the reason that all lives matter doesn't need to exist is because it's already implied for the majority. That's you need Black Lives Matter because that's exactly what's not happening. They're not being grouped. They're not being inclusive. And by saying all lives matter, you don't improve anything because you normalize it across the whole spectrum. And you're like, oh, we're just in one big group and the majority of that group's being treated okay. So we've succeeded. So no,
go ahead.
So
sorry. I say the best example I heard of that, which I just love, is like Black Lives Matter is like a house on fire, right? And if you're their neighbor and you come out and you go like, hey, my house matters too. It's like, well, pour water on my house too. It's like, well, yes, your house does matter, but right now this house is on frickin' fire.
Exactly. That is a great
analogy. Put that. So maybe we should come out of our neighbors out of the house and go, oh my God, my neighbor's house is on fire. How can I help put that fire out?
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden we got a better relationship with our neighbor. We helped them. They helped us. We've got a much better situation on our street. We all get along better. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I do understand that. I do understand the whole kind of like, of, I guess, as a young white male in today's society, you've got to be thinking like, I haven't done anything. I'm old, old, white and straight. So believe me, I'm a huge part of the problem, I'm sure. But the idea that your problems are somehow need to be amplified now over the problems of the black population is absolutely just I think is just, I hate to say it, is just I think it's just it's selfish. It's, and also if we help fix this, imagine how freaking great it's going to be.
You know how you get all lives matter? By fixing the ones that don't. That's how you get it.
Yeah.
You don't include everybody together and go, oh man, we're all humans. You have to put eyes on a problem to fix it. You do, because if nobody cares, nothing changes. That's I guess that's how you surmise the whole thing, right? Is if nobody cares, nothing changes. So that's why it's important, even with like the police, the police brutality stuff that's happening, like getting that on video now, because everybody has a video camera, complete game changer. Right now everybody's like, oh my God, why is this so bad right now? No, it's always been this bad. If anything, it's probably gotten a little bit better. It's just now it's all getting caught on camera. So these people aren't getting away with it. And
this is it. What's terrifying to me was 30 years ago, I watched the Rodney King tape when it was like actually a tape, when people actually get to film stuff on a freaking video camera. And I thought, oh my God, look at those racist cops. Thank God we found them and we can weed them out. And I thought, done. And I thought, why is everyone rioting? This is silly. People are just taking advantage of this. And, and the reality is, like, that was because my perspective on this stuff is completely different. Like, I mean, that's not my fault. I mean, it's my fault if I don't take notice and attempt to change that. But for 30 years, I just assumed that there were a couple of racists here and there that were causing trouble. And because it was never in my influence. It was never in my world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just taking out the trash. There we go.
You should both move to black
neighborhoods. I went ahead and banned them because that's some horse shit right there.
Well, I mean, let's hope there aren't black neighborhoods. I mean, like, I think there should be. The idea is that I love the idea that people aren't ghettoized like that. But I mean, and what do you mean by black neighborhood? You mean like a bad neighborhood? Is that what you're saying? Like, oh my God, don't even start me. Thank you for banning. I should have shut up. Yeah. It's funny though, because I think I think part of the problem we have with the whole race angle on this stuff is that The assumption is if someone says you're racist, it's originally my gut response would be like, what? I'm not. What? No, I'm not. I don't fly Nazi flags and wear white hoods over my head. And like, I've got some of my best friends are black. I mean, the reality is, yes, I am, because I'm white and straight and male. It means generally that I'm sexist, racist, and homophobic, because the reality is I haven't had to live in any of those kind of situations, in any of those kind of, I've never had to live in those lives. So I have a different perspective on this stuff. Is everyone? No, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I'm just going to speak for myself. That's it. I'm not saying that every white, straight male man is those three things, but I know that I am definitely affected by all of those. That doesn't mean that I'm walking around like with a swastika and a freaking, goose stepping around the place. I think
I feel like I'm like I personally feel like I'm racist, and most people are to some degree. It's a sliding scale though. It's a sliding scale, but the reason I say that is because I'm intentionally taking such an active role to go against what I was raised to believe and what I was raised to see. And that, I was raised, in the 80s when, there was a huge problem with people stereotyping black people, just like all of them, just blanket stereotyping. And I grew up in that shit. And it's so now I actively combat that. That's the whole intellect over instinct, right? And I've even told some stories over on Tech Talk before where I've had some situations where I'm walking down the street and it's like I've racially profiled somebody. Not on purpose. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not seeking out to do it. It's just instinctively in my head, I'm thinking a certain way because that's what I was raised. That was the shit that I was exposed to. So now I try to undo that. I try to recognize that, yes, it's a problem and it's something that we need to address and it's something that we need to fix. Because when you look at another human being, you should be looking at them from the standpoint of what you know, like what you know about that person. You should, and if you don't know anything about them, then your only assumption that you should be making is that they're a human being walking down the street. Like there should be no other, thing added there. And the fact that there is why, I look at that and I'm like, you know what? There's other people that are going to act on it differently, right? You're going to have people that are proactively racist, like seeking it out, trying to do damage, trying to hurt that to make themselves feel better. I don't feel like I'm in that bucket, but I'm definitely in the bucket where I've racially profiled a person before. I'm definitely in a bucket where I've gotten in a tense situation before because I saw like a black dude with like tattoos on his face, turned out being like the snuggliest motherfucker you've ever met in your entire life, and then I feel like a total asshole for even thinking that. It's not, I didn't say anything, I wasn't mean, but it's like in your head, you're walking down a busy street and like Seattle or something like that, and you see that and you kind of recoil a little bit and you try to avoid it and you're like, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? That is something that because of what I watched on TV, watching cops, watching one-sided things, hearing all this one-sided information growing up, it kind of pushed me in that direction where it wasn't me thinking. It wasn't my intellect kicked in and said, oh, you should avoid this guy. And no, it's just literally instinct, right? You're walking, you see something, it's like you see a puddle, you walk around it. And that kind of shit bugged me. Like that started really, really bugging me. I mean, long time ago. And that's why now I try to like actively combat it. Now I'm like, you know what? I understand why Black Lives Matter exists. I went and did the research myself because I was curious, because mainstream media does manipulate a lot of shit. I understand that.
Yeah,
I think everybody
absolutely.
does.
Yeah.
So I went out and looked, but no, I mean, there is a massive disproportionate response from police to black people versus white people. Doesn't mean that every officer is bad. Doesn't mean every precinct's bad. Doesn't mean, there's a lot of good ones, but for it to happen with this frequency, we have a systemic problem. Like we have to fix this. And the only way it gets fixed is if we recognize, one, it's a problem, and two, we put attention on it. And that's the way
it doesn't mean that white people don't suffer. It doesn't mean that white people don't have difficulty, or that all white people are rich and all white people are racist. And I mean, I've
been a victim of racism towards myself. I've literally had somebody be racist to me just because I'm white and I'm overweight. Like I've literally had that same stereotype and that same thing applied to me. So everybody has the potential to be racist if they were raised in an area where racism was just indoctrinated into them at a young age. It's like, you know how to speak English without thinking about it. It's because you learned it when you were a kid, right? It's not like when you learn a language as an adult where you have to think about it a little bit, you have to translate it in your head. It just becomes instinct. And it's like, how do you break that instinct?
It's a weird paradox though, because you you want to both erase race and yet also be able to celebrate it. I mean, like I you know what I mean? Like, so it's a very,
it's like, how do you normalize everybody when you're still trying to compartmentalize everybody? Like, how do you get everybody in the same room when you're still trying to group them all apart? Like, it is definitely this like weird kind of oxymoronic situation.
Well, And I think it's a human nature thing, right? I mean, I think it's an instinctive thing to some extent, where, if people are not familiar to you, then your immediate response is a fight or flight thing, right? I mean, I think there's definitely a certain amount of conditioning involved in that, and I mean conditioning from an early like cave dweller time. But I also look, it's incredibly complicated. It's incredibly awkward. I hate talking about it, but as a result, I feel like we should talk about it because I know I'm going to get stuff wrong.
I always gravitate to uncomfortable situations. That's kind of what I do. See, I feel like the more uncomfortable it is, the more it's necessary to do. Because that's it, right? Yeah. If it was comfortable, then everybody would be doing it. We wouldn't have the problem. It's because it's uncomfortable that we still have the division and we still have the problems.
Well, and I feel like certainly, again, I got to stop saying we, because the reality is I think this is a personal thing. While I do believe it's systemic, I think it's a personal perspective on it. I feel like
tribalism. That's a good word.
Yeah, tribalism is a great word. Yeah, and I think again we need to find that balance in there. But one of the things that I noticed was back a little ways, and not that long ago, I found myself arguing about the All Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, for more pro All Lives Matter rather than Black Lives Matter.
I absolutely, full disclosure, I did the same thing. I was like, oh, we don't need Black Lives Matter, we need All Lives Matter, until I really started digging into it, and I was like, oh shit, I couldn't have been more wrong.
And up here, that's just not true, SB. It's just not true. The other thing about up here is because we've got a terrible problem with the treatment of our our indigenous people here, because we've the numerous like treaties and stuff that have been broken, and just their situation from an economic standpoint and everything. But what I've lost my train of thought again. Sorry, I just saw that.
The ADHD was like
people equating BLM with the KKK. I feel like
I already banned him. He's already gone. I don't have any moderators today for some reason. I don't know where all my mods are.
If you feel anger when people start talking about race, you need to look into that.
Yeah.
Because I've had it. I still have it, where I go like, my back goes up about stuff. You go like, why is my back going up about this? There's something wrong there, right? And I think if your first response is anger towards someone making a claim about some kind of a racism, or a need to try to equate it with finding your own racism somehow, I mean, I think you need to look into that, because I think you'll find that like, as someone said here earlier, there's a spectrum to this. It's not like, I think once we can realize that you can talk about this stuff and be wrong about things, I think we can actually solve some of the problems. Yeah.
Dude, you hit on a big one right there. And I actually even tweeted about this 2 days ago. I was like, you know what? It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to acquire knowledge and change. And I feel like people don't do that because they're afraid of the fallout. Like if you make a mistake,
of cancel culture.
Yeah, cancel culture is another huge fucking problem. And I know it's because you have people that'll come out and it's like, if you don't hold your line and you don't hold your stance and you apologize or you do something, then there's blood in the water and everybody goes the other direction. They do the very thing that they hate. I think the most important, you have to let people grow. You have
good people do bad things.
Yeah.
And bad people do good things. It's just not, it's not black and white. I mean, it really, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a danger to this sort of shutting thing. Look, it's the reason why the Democrats had so many problems, right? Because, if you're trying to present yourself as a squeaky clean politician, then give up now, because no one's that squeaky clean. Like everyone's done stupid, inappropriate, or whatever things in their lives. Whether someone's actually recorded or not is becoming more and more likely. But the reality is, I think we have to start understanding that we're not perfect. So bad people don't do good things, brah. I don't know. I think they do. I think there's someone was talking about Winston Churchill just earlier. Yes, horrible, racist. I don't know if he was anti-Semitic, but I'm sure he probably was. I mean, Britain was struggling with all of that. The world was struggling with that. The reason why Hitler was able to kill so many freaking Jews was because nobody wanted the Jews.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's not just a Hitler problem. That is a world perception problem.
Well, you also have to align things with the times. This is another thing that I think the internet is kind of screwed up, is like this idea of like time dilation. Like all of history should be judged by today. Like, yes, so we don't repeat it. We judge it by today, but you can't go back and say, okay, if somebody, was racist 200 years ago because they were raised racist and everything that they believed and everything that was taught to them was to be this way, and they weren't able to break away from that because there was no other context, there was no other information available to them. It's like the raised by wolves thing, right? It's like you literally go into the woods. I mean, physically being raised by wolves, you're going to like hunt things and growl at them. You're not going to speak English and make rational decisions. You're going to be a pack hunter. And that's why we have to change the mentality as like a group. We have to come together like as a group, and we have to fix it, because if that keeps happening, you're going to keep producing people that do that. They grow up and they're going to think that they're right. They're going to think that everything they're doing is just. They're going to think that, I'm not racist. It's God created those people to be my servants. Like that's not racist. Like they're going to believe that stuff. It's a very like religious indoctrination. And to break that, to get away from that over time, you need more people to understand that. You need the majority of the people to kind of jump in and say, you know what, we have to give a shit about this, because it might be, just perfectly obvious to us, but it's not going to be obvious to other people. And that's why I think it's important that you allow people to change their mind and to grow and to learn. Just like me, I started off with All Lives Matter. I was like, why is BLM a thing? Why do, everybody's getting screwed over. The cops are fucking over like everybody. But it wasn't until I dug into it that I realized that, oh man, it is massively disproportionate. Like,
yeah, the big one for me was indigenous populations up here, because I would argue with my sister about it. I was like, what are you going to do? Well, you give them back their land so they can go off and use bows and arrows and hunt and farm. And she's like, well, why would you assume that that's what they want to do with it? Like, and also, what like we made these deals and broke every single one of them, and look at where they are in society now. And I'm sort of embarrassed that I argued with her for so long about this stuff, feeling like, oh, for God's sake, stop complaining. Things are so much better now. They've got this healthcare, there's this, there's that, there's employment, that's not the point. It's that we're deciding where people live. We're deciding where people live and what they could do with the money they get given. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, someone said in the chat, nuance. All of this is nuance. There are no blanket statements. There is no clear, definitive way forward on any of this kind of stuff. I just feel like I'm not offering solutions. All I'm doing is asking questions, and I think that asking questions is just the most important thing, especially as someone with my color skin, with all of the luck of genetics that I've had. I feel like I, more than anyone, need to be questioning the world, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm in a place where I need to do that.
I think it's good just to get people to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. And I certainly don't have the solutions. I don't. Like, these are incredibly complex problems that haven't been solved for a very, very long time. They've gotten better in some cases, worse in others. But drawing attention to it is important, because when people ignore shit, nothing changes. Nothing changes. That's the one thing I think we can all agree on. Doesn't matter. Financial, race, sex, none of these things ever change if everybody just refuses to talk about them and just maintain the status quo. So I think it's important that people talk about this stuff. That's all I'm saying here. And I want to be the first to raise my hand and say I'm part of the problem. Like, I absolutely am.
Absolutely.
Like, I fought for All Lives Matter. I got pissed off when people said I had white privilege, because I'm like, I didn't pick that. That's not, well, no, I go do some research. I'm like, no, I implicitly have that. But what you call privilege is what, if everybody had it would no longer be privilege. It would just be a right. It would be something everybody got. It's like, it doesn't mean that I'm special.
To piss me off. The white privilege thing used to get trigger me so angry. And I got to be honest, I still have to fight the urge at times. People are like, but wait a second, why should they? You can't help it. I think this is, but again, I think you can't help it. You can't help it maybe, but you can question it.
You can.
And I think, again, when you feel that resentment, when you feel that anger towards something, there was the book I read this book called "So You Want to Talk About Race," which if you want to really push the bounds of what you're willing to, how far you're willing to go with this, with the whole pursuing racial equality. There's some tough stuff in that book. There's stuff in that book that I really continue to struggle with, but it was a fascinating read. and really opened my eyes to some stuff that I still, as I say, I'm not sure I entirely agree with everything, but boy, she's got a voice. I mean, boy, the things she has to say, and I mean, there was a great story that she talked about, or analogy that she used, where she said, you're walking down the street, and keep shouldering you. They keep hitting you with their shoulder, right? If that happens every day, all the time, when someone is talking to someone, don't notice you, and shoulder you by accident, and you lose it on them, and they go like, what's your freaking problem? I was walking down the street talking to my friend. I didn't notice you. Like, back off. She's like, you have to understand that it's because of every other purposeful shouldering that's come before this.
Yeah.
And you can't, your vision of this one little incident, of you being wronged in this one incident, should not negate my existence in this world. And that was it's still very difficult for me to understand, because I go like, wait a second, but you're saying it's okay to get angry and accuse people of being racist when they're not being racist? And, but I just thought it was an amazing analogy. It's like someone who's just like being beaten down all the time. When you by accident do something that triggers a response,
yeah,
that doesn't negate everything that's come before it, which I thought was interesting.
So I want to touch on one thing really quick in chat. We have somebody said that white privilege is basically a racist term. It's not. And I can explain exactly why it's not. Because it is a privilege. It shouldn't be a privilege, but it is a privilege. And the reason it's a privilege is because there is an inequity somewhere else. Once you deal with that inequity and you take that away, then it's no longer a privilege. At that point, everybody has it. The reason it's a privilege is because you get to do it, well, other people don't. It's not a white guilt thing, because he also mentioned that earlier. It's not about being guilty. I'm incredibly grateful that I don't have to deal with the problems that, black people do, Mexican people have to do. Like, I don't have, and I'm sure there's some problems that I have that they don't have to deal with in some areas. But when it comes down to the systemic issues that lead to people like going to jail and being imprisoned and being beat to death and shit like that, yeah, they got a lot harder than I do. Therefore, it is my privilege to not have to deal with that in a society where there's people that are bad that are running around and doing that shit. But once we fix the problem, it's no longer a privilege. At that point, everybody gets to use the executive restroom. Everybody gets to go to the restaurant and eat. As soon as that happens, it's no longer a privilege. You're not a club member. And so that's the way I look at it. But it's not something you should never feel guilty for it. That's don't ever feel guilty for whoever you are, for whatever reason. You didn't pick that. And I think that's where people get offended by it, because I know
feel guilty if you did pick it.
Yeah. It's like it's like, I didn't choose to be white. It's not my problem that I got all this privilege. It's like, no, that's not the argument. You're looking at it completely wrong. The argument is because of your skin color, you get to do something that everybody should be able to do. So why can't everybody do it? You should not have, when you get pulled over in a car, you're like, fuck, I was speeding, I'm going to get a ticket. Whereas if you're a black person, you get pulled over, you're like, oh shit, am I getting shot today? Like, those are real fears. They, and are there some places where people get pulled over that are white that may have that situation? Maybe, but they're in the minority. That's the problem, is you have this massive inequity. You fix the inequity, you get it closer, then it stops being a privilege and it starts being a right for everybody. And it should be in these issues. It should be a right for everybody. Like, you have the right, when a police officer stops you, to be judged based on the crime that was committed, the evidence, basically just evidence. I guess evidence is the only thing you need. Based on the evidence, not on how you look or how you talk or how you carry yourself or how you walk or how you're dressed. None of that shit should factor into it, but it does. And it should.
Well, and the other thing is people say like, but black people can be racist too. And it's like, well, yes. I mean, we're all capable of it in some way, shape, or form. But the reality is, like, when we talk about racist cops, they don't just have to be white cops. They just have to be a product of a system that has taught them to work with the black members of the population that they're dealing with in a different way than they deal with the white population. And I mean, there's a fascinating test you can take where you take a test to see what your responses are to things and see where your bias lies. And maybe privilege, I mean, I know people have a real problem with the term privilege, so maybe bias is a better way of putting it. So we had a friend of ours who shared a story a while back who was talking about how, her kid at like age, whatever he is, 13, big goofy kid, lovely, lovely kid, but he's mixed. He's black and white. But definitely looks more black than my son. And she has to have a talk with him because she has to have what she calls the talk, where she's got to sit him down and say, we know you're a big goofy kid, but you got to grow up now enough to know that if you are asked to do anything by the police, that your hands are showing, that you do not, you don't run, there's a very different response. She felt the need to have that conversation with her son. We live in the same fucking neighborhood. Same neighborhood. He's friends with my son, who's also 13. It never even occurred to me I'd have to have that conversation with my son. But she had to have that conversation. She also was studying this stuff, took the racial bias test herself. She grew up in, I think it was Vancouver. She was biased towards white European descent as well, because she was raised in a population that has always valued and presented to the world the white business success, the white this, the white that. She's black, but she's also biased towards white. So
like Ben Carson, for instance, there's a great example.
There's no
racist problem. I got millions of dollars and I live in a mansion. It's awesome, like nobody has any problems. Like, oh, come on, dude. Like, oh.
Well, I think there's a danger in saying it's not race, it's economics, because I feel like that skips the issue too. You know what I mean? Like anyway.
Well, because there's less economic opportunities and stuff. There's a lot of shit that needs to be fixed though. But my point is, don't hide it. That's the thing is, don't hide it. Don't ignore it. Don't try to justify it. Like, let's try to fix it. Let's try to fix it. That's all I'm saying.
Ask the questions. Questions. Start looking at stuff and going like, okay, why do I feel so angry that I've got to make a comment in here about that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I'm casting no stones. I'm just as much of a problem as everybody else. I've thought the same things. I was raised in the same environment. Yep. I had the same stereotypes, everything. The difference is I just decided that I was going to do some research, and I was shocked by what I saw, and I was like, you know what? Mm-hmm. It's okay for me to like change my mind. It's okay for me to learn and grow. It's okay for me to have more knowledge and to use that knowledge for good and do the best that I can. Like I'm going to
we'll get it wrong. We'll get it wrong. Massive. We're going to get it wrong. Yeah. Because we're just, it's not, this is not familiar territory for any of us. I mean, this is not something I ever thought I would be bringing up, ever. But now I feel like I have to, because I feel like then otherwise I'm complicit. I mean, like I feel like we've got to, we've got to start talking about this stuff. Anyways, we have talked about this stuff.
We have. So, I think we've got our point across. So who wants to talk about VR?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, also just I know we usually don't talk about anything but technology on the show, but I want to thank you, David, because that is an important that is a hard conversation to have, and that is an important conversation to have, and I got a lot of respect.
I'm sure, and I didn't mean to hijack it in any way.
No. I'm glad
coming
that
you did.
I'm glad that you did.
Coming up recently. It's weird. But VR. Talk to me about VR now. All right. So
David has some problems with VR. David, I'm trying to get David back into VR because I want to play VR with David.
Wimpy.
So, but this little mangina over here, he does not like being in VR because he gets you get vertigo, right? Like you get like nauseous.
Oh, horrible. Okay, but to be fair, I was playing freaking Stardew Valley with my son the other day on stream, and I got motion sickness just scrolling the damn thing around.
Really?
Like I am really bad.
Oh
really
man,
bad.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to fix that then. I figured this was like challenge accepted, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to save you from that.
Used to get sick playing Minecraft, but I persisted and would just stop whenever I started feeling a little wheezy. The other problem I've discovered though, which may have something to do with this as well, is that since lockdown, which I've never had before.
Wait, say again. I think you dropped some packets there.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I've had vertigo, a little bit of vertigo recently. Like since like the last 9-10 months, a bit of vertigo.
Oh wow. I actually get vertigo pretty regularly, like, and I still don't have a problem in VR. That's the weird thing about it, is like VR doesn't give me vertigo, but I get vertigo from like transitioning from like turning my head sideways to straight up and down. Like I'll get vertigo like a lot throughout the year. So, but I've never had a problem with it in VR, except for some headsets that I wear. I do get a little bit nauseous. Like I get that whole you're on a boat out in the middle of the ocean sensation. But there's other
I can't
headsets
even just
that I don't get
talking
it.
about that makes me sick.
So I want to figure out how to get you into a VR
experience
that doesn't cause those problems.
I played Beat Saber. I was fine with Beat Saber.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, no, that's a great sign because that means as long as your environment's mapped to 1-1 and it's tracked well, you don't have the nausea problem or the vertigo problem.
But as soon as I started looking around, I was fucked.
But by playing Beat Saber, you were all right? Like you were able to get through a couple songs?
I was fine until I started looking around. Once I started looking around to see what it's like to be in VR, that was my mistake.
And you have an old headset, right? You're like rocking like an original Vive CV1 or something.
Original development kit for I like to call it the Vive because we're in Canada and we have the French.
The Vive.
La Vive.
Vive la Vive.
We got the Vive. So got that. Vive la Vive.
So I'm wondering if it's so you said it's the dev kit. Is it the first dev kit or the second dev kit? Do you know?
First dev kit.
Dude, that thing is a piece of shit. Everybody threw up using that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. Honestly, that headset when it was back in dev, like half the people that bought it had to return it and didn't even develop for it because it was so bad.
Well, I got one because a friend of mine was developing a game and developed this beautiful game that within 20 seconds of me playing, I was out for 3 hours, lying, like throwing up, like just so like physically sick.
Oh man. Well, I can tell you this, you will never play racing sims and flight sims because if you have a problem with moving in the world while you're stationary in real life, which is what it sounds like you're having, then VR is going to make you sick no matter what.
I want to do flight sim.
The only way you're going to do flight sim is with Dramamine. I still think we should try that. I think one day we should just like pump you. Oh, you tried it?
No, I could do that. I just hate Dramamine because it just makes you feel so freaking dopey.
Like take some Dramamine and just drink a Red Bull and it'll counter it and see, because I think that's a great experiment. I think you should actually make a stream or a video, maybe a video in case you throw up, but like I think you should make a YouTube video that's like, can Dramamine solve VR motion sickness?
I would rather though, like I also don't want to have to like take the day off because I'm going to play VR. That seems ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm thinking just little bouts. Just do a little bit at a time. Like that's how I got Minecraft. A little bit of Minecraft, like play maximum half an hour to go at the very most. Sometimes it was 15, sometimes it was 10. And as soon as I felt bad, if it was any day, I would just bail. And now, well, not now. I probably have to get back into it again. But I got to the point where I could play for hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so let me give you a little insight into how far heads. And this is one of the things that I really wanted to talk about was there's so many people that refuse to return to a VR experience after having a bad experience early in the technology. And I've even had
only
bad
back
experiences.
because of bad.
The first time I ever did VR, I physically threw up. It was at Disneyland. I literally went to Disneyland. I did this VR experience. It was like 12 frames per second with this giant like freaking can CRT thing on my head. And I'm running around and you hardly see people. And it's like there's drift. Like you turn your head and it takes a second to turn. And I played that game for about a minute and I came out of it and I just walked over and just like heaved into a garbage can that they had strategically placed for everybody else to heave into also. Because I guess
that was the Harry Potter ride at Universal. Same thing. I did the Universal ride. And that was it. I was done. I had to lie down.
So the problem is your brain, basically, you're coordinating all of your senses.
No, your brain. Yeah.
No, your brain. You're coordinating all your senses with VR. So basically your eyes, your ears, what you hear, spatial audio absolutely affects. Somebody did a experiment that I tried long time ago. This is back when I had my HTC Vive as my primary. Not the dev kit, surprisingly. I actually had a retail one, man. So it's actually way better than the dev kit.
Dude, spent some cash.
Oh, dude, man. Yeah, back in the day when I worked at Microsoft, I used to be a richer, man. I used to be a richer, and now I'm a poorer. So, it's like I try to live in every single possible.
That's why we're fighting.
I even got boobs, so I could see what it was like to be a woman for a little while. So, it's like.
Working on mine. I just got to drink a little more of that soy stuff.
Dude, as soon as I can transport a banana between them, I'll stop. But, I got a ways to go.
They say ginger works. I tried ginger.
Ginger do?
Ginger is great for motion sickness, basically.
Apparently, guessed that.
I mean, no difference to me. But crystallized, I haven't tried crystallized ginger. And someone said ginger ale as well is a good one.
Oh, I actually I do drink ginger ale. I wonder if that is contributing.
Ginger ale is apparently really good. It's really good. Apparently, I found when I was doing the Tech Bandit stuff, I do my little show notes, and one of my show notes I found two gamers who are now VR, quote unquote, well, not experts. They're VR YouTubers, basically. But they are VR YouTubers who used to get sick playing VR. So they're doing this all the time now, but they used to get sick. So that gives me great hope.
I am confident that we can get you into a comfortable VR experience.
Yeah.
And the reason that I'm confident is because I've experienced a similar, I'm not going to say the same, but a similar amount of discomfort with VR in its early stages of development, even back as far as like the CV1 and the CV2. So, so back to the way VR works on your head. Actually, here, I want to read a couple of these super chats before they fly off the screen because these guys.
Okay, and I'm going to go pee and get some coffee.
Do it. Go drain it and refill.
Great. All right.
All right. I want to thank Dave 091102. Thank you for the 10 pounds. He said, "Hi Jerry, hope all's good. Just heard the news that Biden removed the bust of Winston Churchill. I'm from England. Can't help feeling offended. What do you think about it?" Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know a ton about Winston Churchill, so I don't know his past. I don't really know good person, bad person, good things he did, bad things he did. I don't really know. But I'll do some more research on it, and then once I do, I'm sure I'll give you an opinion on it. And the other thing too is I don't know if I would be like too offended because there's like 1 million busts that are available to the president to display in the White House. And he lives there, and obviously he can't have all like 10,000 busts in there, so he's going to pick the ones that he wants the most. But I don't know. Did he say he removed it for a specific reason? Like, I genuinely don't know. So somebody said Churchill's Satan's ball sack. Well, I obviously have to do my own research because if I just believe it, like there's always going to be people that think they're awesome and people that think they don't. I have to go do my own research and make that determination. But again, it's like Biden lives in the White House. That's like he lives there. That's his residence now. That's where he lives. So he should be able to display the busts and the artwork that he wants to display within reason. Sir Deluxe, thank you for the $7.22. Wow, Farting Spartan. Great name, by the way. Thank you for the 50 pounds. Holy shit, that is super generous. He said, "Hi from Scotland. Keep up the good work and hope you get back to tech videos soon, Jerry. Keen on how the Synology and other NAS setup is going." Oh, dude, it's funny you say that because I actually have been farting around with my NASs again. It's been a while. But I have the QNAP and the Synology, and I plan to do a video on both of them and do a video like individually and then a video on the comparison between the two because surprisingly, there's a big delta between them. Like Synology and QNAP, I mean, they couldn't be more different. I mean, at their core, they're a network attached storage device, but the implementations couldn't be more different. And in good ways, and bad ways. But if you're looking like you don't want to wait for the videos or whatever, the Synology, if you have the money, obviously, I think the Synology build quality is higher, the software is more stable, and as an actual NAS, it's just a much smoother scenario. However, the QNAP is a lot cheaper, way more features, faster processing power if you want to host services and servers and stuff on it, for less money, and in my opinion, it doesn't look as good. Like I think the Synology looks a lot slicker, but if it's in a closet and you're not looking at it, who cares? Let's see, Root Beer. Thank you for $5. So check out the Eplay maneuver. Really helped me clean up a lot of my vertigo regularly. It makes a difference. I don't recognize that word, the Eplay maneuver, but is that the one where you basically like tilt your head back and then tilt your head forward and then side to side or whatever, and then like whip your head around and lock onto a target and you do it over and over again until it goes away or something like that? Because I think I tried that once and it actually didn't do anything for me. Captain Chaos, thank you for the 5 Australian poundaroos. He said, "I'm 308 pounds and I have some issues that make my life a lot like yours." Well, I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. Pain sucks, man. Chronic pain sucks. Dave, thank you for the 5 pounds. Said, "Try eating some crystallized ginger before you go into VR." It's funny, for some reason, whenever I read crystallized ginger, I'm thinking like crystallized meth. You don't want to get those messed up. You really don't want to get those messed up. Hey, Sean M, thank you for the $4 earlier. I appreciate that. We appreciate all the support, guys. Better. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. You guys are freaking awesome. So, hey, look who's back.
Indeed. It's feeling much lighter.
You're feeling much lighter?
I've peed. Oh my God. It was getting a bit desperate there.
My bladder.
You don't want to leave in the middle of a discussion on race. Yeah, even if you need to pee. It just seems like a bad time to Okay, just hold that thought. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, like, okay, now we're going to talk about slavery. And you're like, all right, sorry, I got to pee. Gone.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Yeah, racist.
Yeah, generally speaking, if you guys are new here, we usually don't tackle big topics like that. We usually go after mostly tech talk and only touch on things.
And I ruined everything.
No. But one, AuxxZillary wasn't here, so he doesn't have to take the collateral damage for it. Just we do. And the other thing is, I wanted to talk about that really bad. So that's something that I think.
Good. Okay. Good.
No. Trust me, that is a topic that I try to touch on as much as humanly possible because I was a person that completely misunderstood it and was offended by it too. And I turned around on it. And I figured if I can turn around on it after getting more information, maybe getting other people involved and getting them interested and going to look at it could have the same effect. And so
that was me. I mean, I feel, I felt exactly the same way. I feel like I was someone who was absolutely fighting it every step of the way, and I think that's probably why I want to talk about it.
Totally.
All right, but sorry. So thank you everyone for your money. Now, VR.
What is a triangle trade? Kevlar said triangle trade sad. I got no context there, Adam.
What is a triangle trade?
Adam likes to speak in like riddles, and because I think he thinks everybody else in the world like knows things on a level that he does, and I get lost so many times. He's the guy. He'll just like send me like a text message, and I'll read it, and it'll be like, "Oh, the mailbox flies at midnight over the sunset," and I'm like, and I'll have my wife read it, and I'll be like, "Do you have any clue what he's talking about?" And then he'll give me context, and then it makes perfect sense.
The vessel with a pestle has the proof that is true.
Yes. Adam exists on a different mental plane than the rest of humanity. It's why he's so successful at life. Because like you have to be able to think like he does to be like 15 steps ahead of everybody else. It's amazing.
Right.
I just need a little coaching to understand what he says sometimes. What DigiBrat said, one of the reasons I built my own NAS. Yeah, we were talking about NASs while you were gone. Network attached.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he said with older server hardware like a SAS controller. Also was the inability to upgrade the QNAP and Synology with extra memory. You actually can upgrade the Synology with extra memory and the QNAP. I've upgraded both of my units. So maybe you have an old unit that wasn't capable. Wait, what are you pointing at up there? Is that your NAS?
Sorry, that was my Drobo named Meredith.
Oh man, Drobo. That's like those are expensive, but man, do they just work.
You know what though? Because I get this. My friend Alan over at PC, when he was at PC Perspectives, got them to send me so I got this. I got it for free, but I just had to put hard drives in it.
I mean, that's a hell of a deal. I think those Drobo units are like what, like $1,200-$1,500 or something just by themselves.
And that's a Drobo 8. There's got like 8 slots in that. That's amazing.
Crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, my NAS, I was lucky enough. Synology sent me one for review a long time ago. And then it finally died after like 3 or 4 years, the power supply. And I was like, oh, can I just get a replacement power supply for it? And they're like, nah, instead, we're just going to send you our 12 drive one. So they sent me like the bigger one.
Nice.
And so I had a bunch
of. But how do you back that up?
Yeah, I know you don't. Like, I mean, I don't even have enough bandwidth to send that thing to the cloud in like a year.
I mean, like I was going to cloud it, but then I'm like, I've got like almost 40 terabytes on that.
Yeah, I think between my two NASs, I'm at about 75 terabyte redundant. So
do you go back and forth between the NAS so that the NAS is backing each other up?
Yes. Not on everything though. I have specific folders that I mirror between the two NASs over the network, and it's just stuff like like family photos and wedding videos, stuff that I never ever want to lose. And then the stuff that's like hypersensitive, like the things where like my house burned down, I couldn't live without. Then all that is basically replicated off to an encrypted volume in the cloud. So basically that just goes into like a Veracrypt volume that has a really random double encryption on it, and then that gets shot up to the cloud every so often. So
So I have the weird thing, the weird sort of like paradigm thing there is that I've got the most important and most sensitive material is actually the only stuff that can go to the web because it's all basically small texty or database stuff. Yep. You know what I mean? Whereas all the video junk that I just want to have for posterity, that I don't give a shit who looks at that, but that is so big that I can't back it up. So I've got to. The problem is you got to be organized, Barnacules, and I am not organized.
Oh, dude, that's my biggest problem. People keep asking me, why haven't you reinstalled your computer? Because I've been threatening to reinstall my computer for a year now. Because I used to do it like every 6 months. I'd reinstall my computer from scratch and clean everything up.
I made Baz do it.
Yeah, it's like it's like a rebirth thing of myself whenever I do it, and then I get interested in everything else. It's like if my computer is dirty, everything else in my life is dirty. And right now, it's like I have probably 100 folders between 3 drives that are just named like Scratch and Scratch 2 and Temp 3 and storage. It just because I'm just throwing everything everywhere. My download folder had like 1,000 things in it and a ton of subfolders. So I get to the point where it's like I literally can't find anything. Like it's so bad. So my goal tomorrow is to hopefully start undoing that.
Jane is so freaking organized. Like Jane has like files within folders within folders within folders within files within. I mean, she is so meticulous in this stuff. And I go in to organize stuff every so often and come up with a great new system. So now I've got 50 freaking different systems, none of which work, none of which are organized. It's ridiculous.
Dude, and the other thing I do too is I'll replicate data, like copy it from one folder to another instead of move it. So then I'll have it in like 800 places at once.
That's
eating
my
up my hard
problem.
drive. So I downloaded a program. GitHub has an open source program that a guy built called Dupe Video Detector or Dupe Video or Dupe Picture Detector.
Oh,
and it goes
I've got duplicate finder or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
so
called.
this one doesn't just go through files; it goes through the actual videos and like compares the frames. And so if you have a video that's a different resolution or a different bit rate, it'll still match up on it, and then it'll delete the lesser one and keep the bigger, longer one. And I ran that link. Yeah, so I ran that thing. Oh, I will. I'll send you a link after the show. I used it and I ran it against all my hard drives. I ran it against my C, my D, my G, and I pointed it at my NAS. And between the 3 drives, it found some files that were duplicated like 20 times between different folders. Yeah. And so I went through and, checked a lot of the boxes and said, okay, get rid of these ones, keep the larger one, and go through. When I was done, I ended up freeing up like 6 or 7 terabytes of storage between my local storage and my NAS. I was like, holy shit.
I probably have 4 terabytes of data and like 10 copies of everything. Like, that's my problem.
Dude, right? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. But yeah, no, a NAS, I think everybody should have a NAS because, like, don't just trust your data sitting on a solid state hard drive or even worse, a spinning disk hard drive in your computer, because it's like if anything goes wrong with that and stuff and you lose it and that's irreplaceable data, you're fucked.
I've still got a giant plastic box of raw hard drives.
So do I. So do I too.
And I don't even know what to do with them because I'm terrified to throw. I've dumped it all onto the NAS. Yep. I just,
So my
rule
is...
NAS, by the way, Megan was saying that she doesn't understand what we're talking about. NAS is just network accessible storage. That's
think of it like a hard drive that's just a dedicated computer on your network that's just a hard drive. Yeah. Like all the other computers in your house can connect to it like a folder and just dump shit onto it. That's all it is.
Yeah. It's great. And you like Synology too, right?
Synology is my favorite out of all. I haven't used Drobo, but Drobo is more targeted. Like Synology and QNAP are like full operating systems.
For wimps. Drobo's for wimps like me. Like Drobo's like the Mac of network accessible storage. It's like don't mess with it. Just do what we tell you, and it'll all work fine.
Yeah. Last time I checked Drobo, they were more of the Synology also has professional options, but Drobo seemed to me like it was the prosumer. Just set it and forget it. Hard drive on your network, whereas Synology and QNAP are like full-blown Linux operating systems that you can like host Plex servers and run Minecraft servers on them and shit if you want. So it's not just a NAS; it's a lot more than that. If you want it to be,
mine is also incredibly slow. Like it takes a while to wind up. Like it's like if you haven't used it for like 20 minutes, you go into and it's like. Like it starts, it's amazing.
Dude, my QNAP takes forever to boot. That's my one. That's my one ding against QNAP, is their NAS takes probably 15 minutes to boot up. Like literally, it's over there for like 15 minutes, like doing drive checks and beeping, and then makes 2 beeps and then 3 beeps, and then finally a sound plays. Yeah, and it's like we are finally booted and ready to access or something, because the QNAP actually talks to you as a speaker in it. It's like booting operating system established. You are now online, but it takes like 15 minutes. So if there's like a power outage or the NAS goes off and I have to reboot it back up, it's like waiting 15 minutes. Whereas the Synology probably takes about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, which still is a long time comparatively speaking. But my first NAS solution I had was what are those? Microsoft used to make a thing called HP Media Smart home server. Like they made a version of Windows that was called Home Server, and it was basically just for creating like a NAS. And they were these little boxes that you could buy that you just threw like 4 hard drives in them, and they just sit on your network. I love it. I still have mine somewhere around here. And I used that for a long time, but it was piss slow. Even back then when it first came out, it's just piss slow on the network. It is just the slowest device ever created.
It's just for backup.
Right. So then I decided to build something called a free NAS, which is just build yourself a big server, put as many hard drives as humanly possible in it and some network cards, install this open source solution called FreeNAS, and configure it. And you basically have like a really high performance NAS. And the thing was, it was incredibly high performance. It was nice, but the problem was it would crash sometimes. It would hang. It would have like all the problems that you have with like a full blown operating system, like running on something. Right? It's like you pick up all the instability because of all the capability. And
you don't want another PC to freaking manage. You just want something that will dump, because otherwise any barrier to backups, you're gonna not back up.
Plus the chassis I had it in, which I still have somewhere around here, all the drive, it held 24 hard drives, and they were all internal. Wow. So like so you'd have to actually take this huge box that weighed like over 100 pounds out, take the top off of it, and like dig out the hard drive. And then the hard drives weren't labeled, so you basically had to do a test where you basically like hit a thing to do a disk test, and it would just make the disk like do a chirp. Like the disk, it basically just moved the read head on the disk and make it go tink, 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 tink. So you could tell which drive it was, and then you could put a label on it so you knew which drive was what. And so it's just a big pain in the ass. And then if the drive at the bottom died, which I used Western Digital Greens, which I should have never done, but they would die like every 3 to 6 months. I'd have a drive failure in the thing, and then I'd have to open
all
it up.
All of mine are Western Digitals.
They're not Greens, though, are they?
Oh, I had greens that did fail.
Yeah, no, the greens will always fail in a NAS. 100%
I lost a
rate.
NAS. I lost a NAS because of that. I lost there's a whole era of Baz's photos that are gone.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. I wish I could have saved you from that. Yeah, no, I did the same thing. Because I had a ton of green drives because they were cheap, right? It was just cheap storage.
Yeah.
And so I bought a bunch of them. I stuck them in there.
At the time, the big 2 terabyte drives, they were great.
They were. I mean, as long as you used them like in standalone, they were okay. I still had failures. Like I actually killed. So the first one I killed was actually a funny story. I played a game called Dance Dance Revolution, like way back in the day.
I know it well.
I love Dance Dance Revolution. That was like one of those games that, you know, I played like every day. Like when I worked at Microsoft for like literally like a year, every day I'd go home and play this. Like before I came to work in the morning and when I got home at night. Like I was just addicted to this damn game. And I brought it upstairs in my house, which was the dumbest decision I ever made. And I put the pad on the floor and I start jumping up and down playing this Dance Dance Revolution. And I hear this. I'm like, what the hell is that noise or whatever? And I walk over and I put my ear up against the NAS and like 3 or 4 of the drives in it, like I busted the head.
Jesus,
just jumping up and down on the floor, just the vibrations of me jumping up and down on the floor literally killed like half the drives in my NAS. And so I ran a diagnostic and I reported the drives as having infinite bad sectors, which means the head was not able to pick up anything. And so I permanently damaged these drives. And then when I replaced them, I stopped playing TDR upstairs because it was instantly apparently that's what happened. But then I had another case where I got really, really mad and I was playing a video game and I banged the desk. I go like this, I go, bam! And as soon as I did it, I was like, oh shit. And then I hear, I'm like, no! I go over there, another drive or 2 died when I did that, just from hitting the desk, and it was like far over on the other side of the desk in the corner. So then after that, what I did is I just isolate, and they replaced the hard drive. Western Digital replaced one of my drives like 8 or 10 times.
Really?
Like, no questions asked. Same drive, same I'd go RMA, same drive.
I never even thought of sending a drive back. I just assumed if you got data on it, you were done.
No, that's the one thing I will do is I will send a drive back to like Western Digital because they do just destroy them. Like they
do because you've got all your data on it though.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think that Western Digital even has a policy they say on their webpage that your drive that you return to them, all they're going to do is verify that it's broken. They connect it to a diagnostic machine that just runs a quick diagnostic, and then they just destroy it. The drive just gets destroyed and recycled. Because they don't want to take on the liability of like taking the platters out and reusing them in another drive and send them somebody, and then they do a data recovery on it and get your nudes, you know. So
I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to do the data recovery thing. I always wanted to be able to take a hard drive apart, pull out the mechanism, put it back. But you basically need a clean room, right? I mean, you need a completely dust-free. Yeah.
I mean, if you are incredibly lucky, you can take a drive apart in a room like with very little dust. But yeah, all it takes is like a single fleck of dust, and if that head picks it up, it's done. It's game over.
And
like,
dude, I got a freaking dog. Like there's like hair. I had an asthma attack this morning after my burn alert because I think I sucked in a dog hair while I was leaping around with my son.
Yeah, and then the other problem with the drives is like they might do them with all the drives now, but I know back when I was using the greens, they would fill the chassis on the drive. They basically pull it at a light vacuum and then put nitrogen or something inside of it, like an inert gas, like xenon or nitrogen.
I know that a lot of them have helium now, right?
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, and they do that to like reduce the friction on the on the discs when they're spinning at like 15,000 RPM. And as soon as you break the seal on that drive, the disc will never achieve its RPM again.
And you start talking like this.
Yes. Kevlar said, if your data is in parity, recovering data from one drive is very hard. Oh no, that's true. That's true. If you're using a whole set of drives and you're writing the data like striped across them, that's going to be a hard data recovery. I know.
And I was when I first did the NAS thing, I was all about like how many terabytes can I get? And then of course, having lost and luckily I didn't lose my wife in the process because she was so angry. Oh, man, lost all those photos. I was like, never again. So now everything I've got is like it's a full mirror.
Yeah.
Like so, my Drobo is set to like it should probably have like 150 terabytes, but I'm like, no, copy that sucker like 3 times. I want like nothing can fail.
Dude, I'm the same as you when it comes to like wanting the maximum storage. And that has bit me so many times. Like actually Puget Systems gave me a pretty good talking to. I mean, honestly, it was more just to make fun of me for doing something I knew was stupid. But when they built this computer behind me, they put in 2 M2 drives and they put them in a RAID, I think it was RAID 5. So there was parity. So if one of the drives died, my other drive would survive, right? So that I would have, that I wouldn't lose any data.
But doesn't it feel like you're getting ripped off?
It does. It feels like you're getting ripped off. So the first thing I do when I come home, and it wasn't on this computer. It was on this one down here. It was on my big server down here, the first computer they built for me. They put 4 drives in there, SSDs. Sorry, they weren't M2s. They were SSDs. They were 850s. Yeah, Samsung 850 EVOs. And so they're like, SSDs can fail too. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a scratch drive that is not parity. And then we're going to take the other drives and we're going to create a RAID 5 array so that you can recover your data if any one of these drives failed. And the first thing I did when I got home was I just wiped the computer. I set it to a single disk in a RAID 0 configuration. And I boot up the computer and I'm getting like 1,500 megabyte, like 1.5 gigabytes a second throughput on SSDs that are only supposed to do like 400 or 500. And I'm like, this is the fastest storage I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I was so happy because the onboard RAID controller on the motherboard worked well. It actually almost maxed them out. And I was like, holy shit, this is like faster than like any drive that was available on the market at the time. I think the fastest single drive you could buy was like a gigabyte or 700 meg or something like that a second.
Right.
And I got this thing doing like 1.5 gig in crystal disk. And I'm like, oh man. And I ran it like that for, I want to say like 3 months. And then sure shit, after 3 months, one of the SSDs, like while it was doing a trim, there was a firmware bug that just wiped it.
Yeah, see, I worry about the SSDs.
No, so I lost. And it took out the whole thing. It took out everything. Like not just the OS drive. It took out the whole works. And I remember Puget Systems was like, well, we told you so, dude. Like we told you, like don't. It's better to take the performance hit and have the parity, honestly. And so now
it's so funny because I've always seen the M2 oh wow, 2 slots for M2s. I could get like 4 terabytes in there, but of course you shouldn't be doing 4 terabytes. You should be doing 2 with parity for sure. Not parity.
And like with the SSDs,
is it parity? Is that what it's called?
Parity, yeah.
It is parity, right?
So I did the same thing when I got my NAS too. When I got my first Synology NAS with 8 drives in it. And that one they actually gave me good drives. Like the Synology guys, they gave me Seagate Iron Wolf drives, and I put them in there. And when you're in there, the NAS is like, okay, to set up, we recommend that you use our like Synology, recovered file system or whatever. I'm like, no, fuck you, create a RAID 0 across all these disks.
It's like, what do you think I am? Some kind of a banker or something?
Right, because I'm like setting it up, and it's like, this is how much usable storage you'll have. And I'm like, that's like 33% less storage than, I mean, that's a lot, dude. When you're talking about the difference between like 60 terabytes or 40 terabytes, it's like, that's 20 terabytes. So of course I set it up to like a RAID 0.
Guys. Like it's such a guy thing to do, isn't it? Like,
and shit, one drive died. One drive died just because, and it was fast too. Like you could tell it was just a QC drive. I didn't run it through testing or anything like that. And I bring up the volume, and it's like, like a month later, it's like I go to access it, and it's like the volume's not accessible. I go into the Synology, it's like, oh, Smart reports failure on disk 1. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do parity. And luckily I had it all, I still had it mirrored to my old free NAS that I had. Like I just copied the data over from the free NAS. So that time I didn't lose anything. But I was like, nope. As soon as I replaced the drive, I deleted the volume. I went back in. I did Synology's little proprietary thing that they did so that it like mirrors. It does like drive mirroring, because you don't really have to worry about performance. I mean, it's literally, my Synology's only a gigabit. So you don't have to worry about having like an insane performance RAID, which is funny, like why I did that in the first place, because I wasn't gaining anything but just extra space. But yeah, I want to tell everybody from my own personal experiences that I've gone through many times now to learn my lesson. If you have the opportunity of parity over performance, go with the parity. And the only time that shouldn't be the case is if it's on a scratch drive. If it's on a scratch, if it's a drive that's being used for high performance cache for like video editing and stuff like that, and you don't care, like if it gets wiped, big deal, you just rebuild the cache. Then go for the performance. But if it's like your OS drive, don't fuck with it. Like just create a parity set. Get yourself 3 drives, create a parity bit, take the performance hit, and then even if a drive dies in that configuration, you don't even notice it. It just reports it. It's just like, oh, this drive died, just letting you know, but you don't lose any data and your computer still works perfectly. And then you just swap the drive out and it'll just rebuild the RAID for you. Like you don't even, like on a Synology, if a drive dies, it literally just changes the little LED on the front, when it says the drive's offline. You literally, it's on, pull it out, stick another raw drive in it, shove it in, it just automatically starts rebuilding it.
Drobo, the same thing. If I want to upgrade, if I want to put in a new hard drive, I could just yank out any hard drive I want. I could go in there and yank any of those hard drives and just stick a new hard drive in. It'll figure it out. It's amazing,
dude. Yeah, no.
But it's a bit like the tortoise and the hare, though. It's like okay, yes, you've got much faster network, like storage for your computer, but if you actually were to like work out how much time you spend wasting because of like when they crash and burn, the reality is it's still way freaking faster to have parity on those drives.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wow, Kevlar Condom said Synology now has their own drives based on Toshiba. They're different firmwares and they completely control them. They say they have an improved lifetime of up to 10 mAh.
Oh, nice.
Was that 10 million hours? Getting 24 of them to test. I wonder how much more they're going to charge for them, though, because I'm guessing they're probably going to put a heavy premium on them. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll encourage people to buy their drive instead of the other drives and be competitive on pricing just because they're going to get a lot less tech support calls if everybody has drives that aren't dying left and right.
I just want to do a Google. I want to do a Google, like just have like some like mishmash system that just uses shitty drives, hundreds of shitty drives, and the with just the amount of redundancy that you need to just keep it going the whole time. Like, why don't they do that? That's how Google got. That's what they used to do, right? Didn't they come up with a system that just allowed them to like index things and just use really cheap off-the-shelf drives?
I know that they use cheap off-the-shelf drives. I just don't know. Well, in some of their stuff, then they have the high-performance caching stuff that sits on top of that. Like they have mini.
Well, now, but I'm sorry, like when they were a startup, when they were like, before they stopped, don't do evil. Before they started doing evil, as opposed to don't doing evil.
Well, I'd like that. I mean, if I can figure out, well, I know FreeNAS can do that. Like FreeNAS, you can just set up an infinite mirror, and basically you can have drives of all different sizes and all different speeds, and it'll basically just the algorithm figures out how to squirrel the shit away. But and then you can have like you can pair up drives, like you can pair up partitions so that like if you have a drive that's 2 terabytes and a 1 terabyte, 2 1 terabyte drives can create a 1 terabyte mirrored volume on it to basically like mirror to. Wow. And so that way, if you lose a drive or whatever, you still keep your data. But I haven't looked into it very deeply. But I do have like literally like a 5-gallon tote that's like a quarter of the way full with drives. It's probably got 20 or 30 hard drives in it, like old school spinning disks. And I was like, it would be kind of fun to throw those into the old chassis again for the rack mount server and just set it up as just a giant amount of just rando storage.
That's what Alan does. So Alan Malventano, who's the guy who got me that Drobo. He's now at Intel and tests all their SSDs, right? And he has like some ridiculous, like it's like the entire floor of his house is like covered in hard drives. He's just got like massive raids of drives that he uses. I mean, eventually I'd love it to be SSD, right? Because imagine how cool that would be. Like,
well, the data density on SSD is insane now. It used to be shitty, but now it's like fantastic.
I mean, it used to be when I first got that Drobo, it was all just 2 terabyte drives, right? You could just pop in a bunch of 2 terabyte, SSDs. Yep. But of course now I've bumped them all up to like 8 terabyte.
Dude, there's a company that makes, and it's probably even bigger than this now, but I watched Linus do a video on a 40 terabyte SSD. 40 terabyte, one SSD. I mean, it's a super expensive drive. I think it's like $100,000 or something like that. But it's 40 terabytes in the footprint of one spinning disk, like one 2.5 inch bay or whatever. So or 3 1/4. Yeah.
But what about that? What about getting like crazy cheap, those little oh for God's sake, what are the cards? Little SIM card things, not the SIM cards. But what's the word I'm looking for?
Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what about a raid of those?
I mean, shit, they make terabyte little, like, I think, wait, I don't have a terabyte, but I have let me see here.
Yeah, I have
256 gigabyte ones for days, and you could stack those 4, 6, or 8 tall, all the way across both sides of a chassis, and
just have a wall of those suckers. Like, would that work?
I mean, it would. It'd be slow storage, though. I mean, you'd have to have some kind of internal, like, caching and striping and stuff if you wanted to get any kind of performance out of it.
Slower than hard drives?
An SSD, yeah. Or sorry, not an SSD. Yeah, compact flash, definitely.
Oh, really? Okay.
The most I've seen a compact flash achieve is like maybe like 150 megabytes per second, and an M2 SSD can do like 3 gig a second now.
I thought they were supposed to be fast though, because they're for video and stuff. Like, what about those like?
Well, I mean, it is fast when you're talking about video. I mean, being able to transfer, 150 megabytes per second, that's a pretty damn decent. I mean, that's 8K 60 frames per second, like with H.264 probably doesn't even hit that.
And they die fast. That's a good point. Synergy's saying that they die fast.
That is true. And the truth is I have not had the greatest experience with longevity. Like even when I was shooting video like regular on YouTube, I'd replace a flash card, or two every year. Like I'd have a flash card just randomly die. just doing the same thing over and over again. It wasn't under any kind of like stress or anything. It was just they I don't know if it's quality control or just because of how cheaply they're built or whatever, but and when they die, like you do not get them back. Like they're dead.
And apparently single file transfers are pretty good, but for multiple file, thank you, Digibrat. That's good to know.
Yeah, and
I'm just curious but I just love the idea of getting away from the fact that we're spinning freaking discs with magnetic, signals on it. It just seems it's like driving a freaking car that uses gas. It just seems archaic to me.
The funny thing is, like, if you think about it, though, our spinning disk technology that we're using today is just a refined version. Like SSDs went a whole different direction. That's a whole different technology. But spinning disk is still the same it was like in the 60s and 70s. It's just a giant magnetic platter spinning around with like a little magnet picking up the eddies off of the surface. Like,
it's a freaking record player. Like,
yeah. It's like every generation is just how do we make it smaller? How do we make it smaller? How do we make it smaller? But it's still the same fundamental spin a disc and like read some shit off the surface of it.
That's it. Which like Ford asking if he asked his customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. It feels like no one's made that. I mean, other than SSD, no one's made those jumps. So
yeah, I think
backups on tape. Look, tape was great, except that every single time I tried to restore off tape, it failed.
Yeah, welcome to the club, dude. I had one of those Easy Travin.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's what I had.
Where you had the little cassette that was about this big and clear with the metal back, and you jam it into the hole in the front of your PC.
Oh,
and it'd be
I thought it was the coolest thing on the planet.
Dude, yeah, I thought it was awesome until, like you said, like it was slow for recovery. To do a single file recovery, it had to seek through like a mile of tape.
Yeah, but you'd like go to bed, wake up the next morning, and it would have failed.
Yeah, actually, the one that never really caught on that I wish had of, and some people argue that it did catch on, but no, not to the masses, was the zip drive. I loved the zip drive. I thought
they failed.
I thought floppy drives were just going to die. It was going to be zip drive, and then the 1 gig one came out. Was that the Jazz drive?
Yeah, the Jazz. I had the Jazz. Oh my God!
Yeah, man, it was like having a gig or whatever. It was like having like 2 CDs on one disc, and I was like, but it was too cost prohibitive for the drive and everything. So I genuinely wish
Zip
that
had a tape drive too. That's right.
They were built well too, like the zip drives. Shit, the zip drives, like I remember the media for that was like built like a brick shit house. Like that stuff looked like you could probably archive it fover as long as you didn't get it near any magnetism or anything like that.
But the Jazz drives were a little cheaper. They were, I definitely had a number of those fail. But again, you could just back up shitloads of stuff, like just tons and tons of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, the LS120, I remember that. That was the one where they basically had the zip storage, but in a floppy drive. It was like the same dimensions of floppy disk, so you could literally put a floppy disk in the drive, or you could put in an LS120, but you needed their special drive that cost $1 billion.
Right.
I remember that. Yeah, and it was like, what was it? It was called an LS120 because it was 120 megs per floppy disk, right? Which was crazy because regular floppy disk was like 1.44 unformatted, right? So 1.5 megabytes, and you'd go to 120 megabytes. That was pretty impressive.
I remember thinking it was the coolest thing in the world when I was working at a company. I set them up with a backup, the network backup. But again, it wasn't directly network accessible. You would plug it into a computer that was on the network. But you could back up anyone's. They were like, oh my God. I was like, I could back up, Joe's computer from here. And then I would simply, you'd start it and you'd be like, I'll see you in a week.
Dude, tape was so slow.
Oh God, it was awful.
My God. And I remember it was noisy too. I don't know if it was just my drive, but I remember I'd be like trying to sleep in the middle of the night and you'd hear that thing going like all night long.
And it would
like
fail.
8 hours.
That was the other thing, is it would fail.
All the
time. You'd be like 98% and nope, fail. You'd be like, that was a freaking day.
Yep. That was one of those technologies where it just seemed a lot cooler than it actually was.
Yeah.
But
and it gave you that false sense of security where you're like, well, it's all backed up.
Exactly.
Until you actually had to try to restore it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Somebody said that LS120 could also run floppies at double speed. I never knew that.
Oh,
I really wish that had taken off. That was I loved that's one thing I do miss about floppy disks a lot is the tactile feel of like putting the disc in and having to go clunk and like click into place and then hitting the button and having the thing just like launch out at you as hard as you push the button.
Right.
I just loved that. I hated the Mac floppy drive because it was all like electro, you push a button and then a motor would eject it. No, I like the ones where if you push the button hard enough, it would launch it out like past the drive and onto the floor.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I'd like push. I'd like challenge myself to push the button as fast and as hard as possible so it could fly out and you grab it. Yeah, exactly.
That's me too. Yeah. It'd be like
that.
Yeah.
I missed that. Hey, Dave, thank you for the £5. He said, I thought the best 2 hard drives were the WD Black and the Seagate Barracuda. Oh, fuck Seagate Barracuda. That thing's garbage. I had 2 Toshiba P300s go bad, but my WD Black is good. Oh, no, Western Digital Blacks are amazing. I've never had a black drive, or die, and I've had them forever. So
really? Are they expensive, though?
Very. Well, at least back when I was buying them, I want to say that they were more than double the price of the green. So, like, if the 1 terabyte green was like $150, the black version was like $300, $350.
So what I should be doing is buying 2 greens and knowing that one of them's going to fail, except that both fail.
Pretty much. They don't ever trust. Well, they don't even make them anymore. I think Western Digital just scrapped the whole project because the return rate on them was so high.
Dude, that plastic box of hard drives I was telling you about, it's all freaking greens.
Oh, dude, good luck, man. If you don't ever trust them. I went down that path for years and years and years. I bought nothing but greens, and they died in my main box. They died in my NAS. Every place I used them, they died. Yeah. They are shitty drives.
I think I've dumped everything, but that's the problem is, like you say, if you don't know what you've backed up, you don't know what, like, you just keep backing up the same crap over and over again.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to do, like, a data inventory, because I've been just, digital pack ratting my whole life, and my NASs are full of just shit that I didn't sort through. Like, I literally just, like, duplicated servers and stuff to it. I probably have, like, a Steam library, like, replicated 20 times to my freaking NAS. If I went through and I cleaned it all up.
I've got, like, 50 folders that say for cleanup.
Yeah, right. Or I'll go in there and I'll have folders that are just called like backup and scratch 1 and scratch 2. And I'm like, why the fuck do I have a scratch folder on my NAS? Like, I shouldn't have a scratch folder on my NAS just because I was too lazy to remove it when I replicated the drive over to it.
I know. I got to organize my stuff. It's crazy. Even if I just organize it by saying like, okay, I haven't used this since like 99. So just like fuck off and go on a, an off network drive or something. You know what I mean?
Yep. So what do you say? What do you say before we wrap up? We go back to VR for a little bit.
Yes,
give the people what they want, because I gotta get you into a comfortable VR experience. We gotta figure this one out.
You were suggesting that we go with the Quest 2,
yes,
because you can umbilical it to a PC as well if you need to.
There's a couple of reasons why I'd recommend the Quest 2 to you. One, it's incredibly high resolution, even more so than the Valve Index, which is over $1,000. That's this guy right here I just picked up. So had a fan sell to me used. It's like brand new.
Nice.
This is like the sweetest headset ever for gaming because of the high refresh rate and the high field of view. Like, you have 130 degrees. So instead of looking like binoculars like this, it's like you can see out of the sides of your eyes. So
that's cool.
So yeah, it's really cool for gaming, but it does have a couple drawbacks. One, it's not the highest resolution. The Quest 2 has higher resolution. The optics do, if it's a really bright and contrasty scene, you do get like this blooming effect where the light reflects off the Fresnel lenses that can kind of fuck with you a little bit. And there are some God rays, that are coming in on the edges of the photo and stuff like that, which kind of pulls you out of it a little bit. The Quest, however, the original Quest, like the Quest 1, has 2 separate screens that are freaking like phenomenal. Like no eye fatigue, almost no screen door either. And I'm talking about the Quest 1, the one that even predates this. Even looks better, but you don't have the field of view and it's a really low refresh rate, so I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who's queasy. However, the Quest 2 solves a lot of the problems. The Quest 2 is the highest resolution headset, I think, between the Valve Index. It's not the highest. There's one more, I think. What is it called? There's a Windows mixed reality headset that has higher resolution. It's like an HP or something, but it's also a mixed reality headset. It's basically designed for like Windows 10. It doesn't use the Oculus Store or it doesn't use Steam. It's basically like just Windows 10 integrated stuff. So I know it can be a little bit problematic, like trying to get it to work like seamlessly with all the software and stuff, but HP Reverb G2, that's what it was. So for you, somebody who has like the queasiness issue, as long as you can play Beat Saber and you don't get sick playing Beat Saber, that's a really good sign. And if you move your head and you're getting sick, it's because you're using that HTC Vive CV1, and those screens have that bleeding and ghosting issue. So when you moved, and that caused people to get sick. So if you find that moving your head like this is causing you to get sick, it can be from that like ghosting effect you're getting from that old screen technology. That's gone now. Like in the Quest 2, that's gone. No more screen door effect. Whereas you ever find yourself when you're playing, you focus on that like screen. It looks like you're looking through a screen door.
Right. Yeah.
Like you don't get that with the Quest 2. With the Quest 2, it looks like it literally just, you have like infinite depth of field. It's awesome. So that can help a lot with it.
Also, what games you play as well. Like I leapt straight into full floaty, space games, and of course I was sick right away. I mean,
Yeah, actually, didn't HP work with Valve on the Reverb? They might have. I don't actually know much about the Reverb.
HP's got a new one, apparently, like a beautiful new one. Apparently.
Yeah, the Reverb G2. That's what everybody's talking about. Apparently, it's the highest. I think it's the highest resolution outside of like the Pimax 8K, which is a really.
But is it out yet, or is it just announced?
I think it's finally out, unless COVID slowed it down.
I couldn't get it here. I don't think. Baz wanted us to get that one, and you know what Baz wants.
The only thing I don't like about the HP Reverb though is the controllers. The controllers are ass.
Oh, they said that. Yeah, they said that was the problem.
Yeah, the headset itself's amazing. Like if you're playing stationary games and stuff like that, but I don't like their controllers. They got this giant freaking like light ring on top of them that's just really freaking annoying. That you bang the controllers into each other all the time. I don't know why they went with such a large ring. It's like this. This is what you get on a Quest. So you'll probably get similar controllers on the Quest 2. And if you look, the ring is so small, it's basically the size of the top of your hand.
Right.
So when you're doing stuff, but with the Reverb, it's like so much bigger that people complain that when you're playing games where you bring your hands too close together, you're banging them. You're like bam, 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 because the ring on them is so freaking large.
Well, so they'll change that the next time around, I'm sure.
Hopefully, I mean they didn't on the G1, so they.
They're out of stock.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find because of COVID and everybody being home and everything. Like everything's even the really ultra expensive VR setup like I have here was sold out. I had to find a fan that would sell me theirs because they weren't using it as much.
Really?
But I can tell you right now, like if you want to get a Quest, you should be able to find them cheaper and used on eBay. Like
for the Quest 2.
The Quest 2. I think I was here. Let me go over to eBay and see. There was quite a few people that were selling them.
Yeah, but eBay here sucks because because of the cross-border stuff.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, so you can get right now. You can get a brand. Let's see here, pre-owned, lightly used Quest 2 64 gig for $299. So and wow. Let's see. So and they go as high brand new inbox for like $399. I think that's what they sell for. I think that's the actual retail value. So it doesn't look like they're selling over retail on eBay. But again, you said eBay is a problem up there. But I bet you can still find them.
Oh, look at that! Wait a sec. No. You know what? There's a Quest 2, 64 gigabytes. It's available at Best Buy.
Oh shit! I'd just get that then. Because here's the thing:
is 64 gigs enough?
For standalone, probably not. If you're going to play a lot of games on, but if you're tethered to the PC, it doesn't matter. You're not using the internal storage on the device when you're tethered to the PC. So if you're playing the games that aren't available on it, like I don't think is Minecraft available as a standalone solution? I don't think it is. I think Beat Saber is, and there's a couple of others, but the vast majority of the big games are not available to play cordless because there's just not enough power in the headset to do it, right? The one thing I do like about the Quest though is there's basically Oculus has their own program called Rec Room. You can also use it with I believe you can also use it with other headsets by using this thing called Revive. But it's cool because this like little Rec Room thing, Xander plays it every night, and I actually got in there and played it. It's like the graphics are really simple, so it plays just fine in standalone mode with full frame rate. But you play stuff like you can play dodgeball, you can play paintball. You can do like relay races and stuff. There's like a million like little microcosm games that are built into it, and they're all social and with other people, and it's a lot of fun.
So I really need two, one so that Baz can do it with me.
Yeah, and you can run them in wireless if you're playing, the wireless solutions, which I like. The one thing I do like about the wireless option that you have with the Quest versus going with something like the G2 and stuff is you still get the high resolution and everything, but you're detached. So if you want to lay in bed like while your significant other's sleeping and watch some Netflix. You can watch Netflix on it. You can watch Hulu on it. You can watch YouTube on it. You can surf the web on a giant screen, like sitting in a theater room with a giant screen in front of you. And it's actually the clarity is really good.
Well, that's what I loved. I loved this virtual office that they were pitching, right? The idea that you can I don't need to buy freaking giant monitors. I just have them floating in front of me.
Yeah, and see, for that, this wouldn't be good.
Can you use them?
Yeah, no. With this, no, the resolution's still too low. I mean, this is probably 30% or 40% better resolution than what the old Vives had. But no, compared to like the Quest resolution and the G2, those are ones that you could actually use for that. Like you could actually open up Visual Studio and code in a VR environment using the resolution in those ones. So
all right, I'm in on that.
Let's hear Quest 2.
Okay, so you think I should go with the Quest 2?
Yeah,
but I don't know about this 64 gigs though. That worries me a little bit about because you can't. I'm assuming you can't update the memory yourself.
No,
right?
you can't. You can't. Well, yeah, unless you're going to want to solder boards and hack firmwares and stuff. So I would get the 128 gig. Just because you're going to want to install a bunch of stuff on it. And then if you want to watch movies and stuff and you want to download a movie to it, that's going to take up storage too. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
But the resolution
so they've got a 256 version.
So dude, it's 1832 by 1920 per eye.
Whoa.
So that's per eye in the G2. Now, just to give you some context on that, I think the G2 actually is the higher resolution. So let's see here, HP G2 specs. I believe the G2 goes even higher than that. Holy shit. Okay, never mind. Ignore everything I just said. Get the G2. If you want to do the like, you know, the digital desktop, the G2 is the only choice.
G2 is the HP one.
Yes. Oh my God, I did not realize that this resolution was this high. This is crazy.
Really?
Dude, it's 2160 by 2160 per eye, giving you a total of 4320 by 2160. It is twice the horizontal resolution of the Quest. And that's what you want. Like if you're reading text and you're doing stuff like that, horizontal resolution is incredibly important. Holy shit, I'm going to get one of these. And it's got 114 degree field of view, which is 14 degrees better than the Quest.
And it's not crazy expensive. It's unfortunately just not available.
Oh man, I would wait for this one, honestly, now that I'm looking at it.
No, it's good to know. It's good to know.
Because
I mean, it's more expensive, definitely more expensive, but it sounds like it's probably worth it. I feel like I'm also a little worried that, you know, you end up buying the Oculus. Look, part of my phobia of the Oculus is just I don't like the idea of Facebook being in my freaking eyes.
Most people don't. Yeah, no, and I totally understand
that. That pisses me off. But you know, but whatever. I mean, I'll sell my soul if it's good for some good tech.
Well, the good news is somebody sent me the Oculus for Santa for Christmas. They sent their used Oculus Quest original because they ended up getting a Quest 2 and upgraded and never used it anymore. So they sent over. The kid plays it like every single night. And the one thing I noticed is that he plays it a lot more because it's not tethered. He doesn't like having a wire that he has to fight with.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said. And the other thing too is with the Quest, when you get into this crazy resolution, you have to have a cable. Like, you're not going to wirelessly transmit 2160 by 2160 at an enormous frame rate. You're just not. So, or it's going to cost insane amounts of money for the directional radio equipment to do that. But with the Quest, you can. And the cool thing is there's a thing called virtual desktop for the Quest that works over Wi-Fi.
Well, that's the thing I like.
And apparently I haven't tried it myself, but everybody says that you don't even notice the latency. Like, there's no noticeable amount. So like when you're doing the virtual desktop thing, you're in the headset and it's like you can literally play a game from your Steam library, have it wirelessly sent to you to the headset, and even do VR stuff too. Like you can do a VR thing wirelessly. And apparently there's some compression. And I mean, if you look really hard, it's not going to be as high a frame rate and it's not going to be as good a resolution, but you can do it wirelessly. Which means if you're two people in a room running around, you're not all wrapping cables around each other and shit. Like it gives you a lot more freedom. Plus, you could technically even go outside and play it to some degree,
which would be really neat.
Yeah,
and dangerous.
So
I go play in traffic.
Yeah, it's right. I really didn't think that being wireless was going to be that much of a game changer until I started farting around with this Quest and like just playing it sitting in bed or just like putting it on sitting on the couch and just like, you know, running around and playing dodgeball with people and paintball. I was like, okay, this is a game changer. Like being able to just go play Beat Saber sitting on the toilet. Like I can literally do that. I can go sit on the toilet and play Beat Saber while I'm squeezing one out. You can't do that with a cord. You'd have to take your laptop in there and hook up, you know,
I think you may have just ruined VR for me right there. I think that may have been because this image of you with your goggles on and no pants is just.
Well, wait for it. It's going to be an Instagram video before I go to bed tonight. So
great.
Like, now the seed has been planted. So now I got to go sit on the toilet and play Beat Saber.
The seat has been planted.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sorry. You know, the other thing that just let me throw this at you. Yeah. One of the things that I did in the Tech Bandits the other day was talking about VR and some of the latest developments. And there was an interview with the Valve guy, whatever that guy's name is, that crazy, you know, Grateful Dead looking guy who runs Valve. And they have teamed up with another company that I love called OpenBCI, which is the Open Brain Computer Interface folks. And apparently Valve and OpenBCI are working on a headset that will use the brain computer interface as well as everything else on the Valve, which I thought was kind of neat. You know, can you imagine that? Like, so your Valve headset is picking up brain signals as well and muscle signals as well.
That would be pretty.
That's going to add weight. It's going to like talk about how immersive you can get with that stuff.
Oh, dude, it's actually. Oh, here's another plus for the Quest though. So the Quest might not. Another thing too is I want to be clear. Like the Quest 2 does have really high resolution. Like it's not as high as the G2, obviously, because that's the new gold standard. But for resolution, it's still enough to do virtual desktop and stuff. It's still higher than even $1,000 gaming headset. So, right. But you get wireless. But there's another thing you don't get on any other headset that I know of that you only get with the Quest and the Quest 2 is hand tracking and eye tracking. So when you're playing games like VR Chat and you're in a world that support it, you can literally like flip people off with your hands not holding any controllers, and it'll track your arms and track your hands just moving out in front of you because the headset's got cameras that record your movements. And it's right. On the Quest 2, I heard it's like perfectly fluid. On the Quest 1, there's a tiny delay, but you can actually use your hands in the world. You don't even need the controllers. You can play games. Like you can do clicks and stuff to open menus just by doing hand gestures. And it works remarkably well even on the original Quest. And the other thing too is it has a camera in the headset that watches your eyes, and there's one underneath that watches your mouth. So when you're in VR chat and you're talking, it's literally tracking your eyes and tracking your mouth and putting that on the character in the game.
Doesn't that worry you at all about with the Facebook stuff, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Facebook's like spying on you and shit and can see when you're smiling and what you're looking at when you're smiling. But yeah, I mean, it's like,
right.
It's also why the headset only costs like, $400 instead of like, $2,000 when it has that
That's
functionality,
It's true. If it's
subsidized.
Free. Yeah, exactly. It's subsidized with your brain. I'll throw this link in there.
Wait, Jonas said no eye tracking was the wrong word for it. It can see your eyes with the camera. I opened up their demo app, like an Oculus. I went into settings and opened up the demo app, and it could see my mouth and it could see my eyes. So obviously they have some kind of IR camera system going on inside on the Quest, because it could see my face. Because I was wondering how it was figuring out like when I was blinking and when I was talking. Like I didn't understand how it was doing that.
But that's neat. Okay, so the link I'm going to send. Sorry, this sounds horribly like self-serving, but I'm sending a link to the show notes that I did for the Tech Bandits, because it has that article about the GameStop manipulation stuff.
Okay.
And also at the bottom, there's a little interview and a piece about how the Valve is using brain-computer interface stuff as well. So I'm going to put that in the chat.
Yeah, do it.
But sorry, that's I know it's very sort of self-promoting, but it's easier than me trying to look up the links because it's all in that document. And I do those. By the way, if people do want that, sign up for the mailing list, and I'll send you.
This is a very self-promoting thing, so you should self-promote yourself a whole lot more, actually.
I'm too British. That's
kind of like one of the benefits of like being here, right? Is like just drop Tech Bandits all the time and get some people over there, right? Get some legs on the ground.
Well, it's funny. Well, what I'm looking for that is I'm looking for children. I'm just looking for other kids around the world who are interested in this stuff, frankly, who want to join the chat and things. Because I just think the more people we get in there, the more mix of people we get in there, the better. So,
dude, I want this Reverb G2 now. God damn it.
I know.
Why did I look at this? Why did I open this?
I know. You just cost me a fortune. Dude, and you know what? I'm gonna have to run because I can hear the beginnings of the weekend cleaning.
Oh! You better.
Means I got to get up there.
Sir. You better get.
I'm guessing me unleashing the Roomba instead of doing the vacuuming hasn't worked. So.
All right. Well, we have to do the screenshot here. Here,
we do. That's right.
Yeah,
right.
You got to do the crazy face or do something funny. Got it.
Got it.
Cut that. Yep. Putting it right there. Okay. It's in the clipboard. I got it. That's our lazy ass way of doing that.
That's what Facebook does.
So if you guys want to find David in his natural habitat over on his what's your new Twitch? It's not the Tech Bandits. Tech Banditry.
Yeah.
So links in the video description. Go find him over on social media and over on Twitch. He does his whole own thing. Same thing with AuxxZillary, even though he can join us today.
YouTube too.
So and he's on the YouTube. I think you have 40,000 or something subscribers. You need some more though. We got to get David like internet famous. He's like real life famous, but he needs to be more internet famous.
I've been doing my burns, my guilt myself into exercise, and I've been doing them live, and only now discovered that the sound has just been horrendous. Horrendous.
No. Well, I'm getting ready to play Half-Life Alyx. I'm going to play a VR game and stream my progress through it. So
do it.
Yep, that's the goal. That's what I'm going to work on today, is getting that set up so that I can actually live stream VR. I'm not going to do any of the mixed reality stuff in the beginning, though. I'm just going to
vacuum the house, and I'm going to do the same thing to my hard drives.
There you go, man. We all got goals. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. We're going to go ahead and wrap Tech Talk just a little early today. I want to thank all of our super chatters.
Oh, sorry. Is it early? Am I killing it early?
No, it's fine. It's 12:39. We usually go till about 1 p.m., so it's perfectly fine. Because I got shit to do, too. Hey, Dave said, I heard Destiny 2 is going to cross-play this year. I didn't know Destiny 2 didn't have cross-play.
Huh.
Okay, well, that's new. Dave said also Western Digital 1 terabyte black is $74 now. Yeah, but that's for 1 terabyte, dude. Like back when they first came out, they were way more than that. Now I bet you could probably find a 1 terabyte drive for like $45 or something if it's not a black.
Yeah, and it's not enough. That's like I've got files bigger than that.
Yeah, it's not worth the power drain either. It's like conventional hard drives eat a lot of power off of a PSU, and it's like you need that shit for graphics cards now. Like your graphics card is now the chief power consumer in your computer and will be like until eternity. All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping by again. Check that video description. Thanks to all the super chatters, and I will see you guys again on Monday over on Twitch.
We missed you, Aux.
Yep, and we missed you, Aux. I hope you had good luck sucking up to the family and getting yourself like deeply embedded in there and get yourself added to the will. And we will see you guys next Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on YouTube/Barnacules1. Yeah, I think we did it, man. All right.
A pleasure, man.
I'm pushing the stop streaming button. If you guys want me, I'll be over on Twitter. So just tag me over there if you want to get my